Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Music Bridge tonight. We are so glad that you made it to the platform. We are trusting God that we'll have a wonderful session tonight. Just want to have a 5 minutes time of worship. Join me wherever you are. Father, we bless you for tonight. We thank you for this privilege that we know you. All that we are learning is just what you've given to us, music, Lord, and it's part of who you are. And as we know you, we want to know what you want from us and how best you want us to say. We love you tonight. Speak to us. We'll never be the same again. Glory Jesus tonight. Hallelujah. We will sing hallelujah. Hallelujah. We will sing hallelujah. We will sing hallelujah. We love you, Jesus. Hallelujah. We will sing hallelujah. Every knee will bow down, every tongue confess and say hallelujah. Every knee will bow down, every tongue confess and say hallelujah. Every knee will bow down, every tongue confess and say hallelujah. Glory, glory to your name. Every knee will bow down, every tongue confess and say hallelujah. Holiness is what I long for. Holiness is what I need. Holiness, holiness is what you want from me. Give you my heart, Lord. Take my life, take it all, Holy Lord. Take my life, transform it, and take my will, Jesus. Conform it to your will, to yours, Lord, to yours. Oh Lord, take my life, take my life, and move it. Take my mind, transform it. Take my will, Lord. Yes, Lord, do whatever you want with it. To yours. Everyone on this platform, Lord, we want our mind, our heart, and our will, our life to be just like yours. To yours. Just want to be like you. Oh, Lord. until we attain the measure of Jesus, the stature of Jesus. I wanna be more like you. I wanna be more like you. Wanna be more like you. When I speak, Lord, let it be just like you speak. When I move, Lord, let it be what you want to do. Oh, Jesus. Just like you, just like you, just like you. I wanna be just like you, Lord. Just wanna be more like you. Oh, Jesus. Oh, no, more I want to know. Thank you, Lord. To yours, to yours, oh Lord. We give you the glory, Lord. We just want our lives to be more like you. We just want to be just like you. Change our hearts, oh God. Transform us. In the name of Jesus. Amen and amen. Wherever you are, say a big amen. Thank you so much for joining us. Once again, welcome to tonight's session on the bridge, the music bridge. And we just will be discussing church music and everything related to that. And thank you for joining us. We already have, I think we have, is it close to 300? How many people do we have now? Okay, we have about 320 people already zoomed in. Thank you so much wherever you are. Just let us know where you are zooming in from. Please don't exaggerate. If you are not in the Caribbean island, don't tell us that's where you are coming from. Just tell us where you are. These numbers and these details just help us to know exactly what how far we are reaching all of you. And so thank you so much for joining. Tonight, our guests are already here. We will be switching over to them very soon. We have Mabongi Mabaso all the way from South Africa. And we also have my two dearest friends, Pastor Isaiah. I love him so much. We'll talk about him shortly. And my cute friend, Niiella. I just love her with all my heart. And I know God has graced them to speak to us. So shortly we'll be going there. And I will introduce them shortly. I'll be back soon.
So sweet, zitikaka mashangwini nesho mulweni yeso na. Let me try that. Uta zitulela yeso kainkwa so sweet, zitikaka mashangwini nesho mulweni. I'm doing right. Yes, oh now. Let me try that again. Uta zitulela yeso kainkwa so sweet, zitikaka mashangwini nesho mulweni. Yes, oh now. Everybody say Uta zitulela yes. Uta
Great music.
Wonderful, 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 wonderful. Thank you for joining this platform. We are so excited to have you. Nice. You can see Mabongi ready for fire. How are you, Mabongi?
I'm very well, thanks. How are you, sir?
I'm very good. Very, very good. Pastor Zaya,
Yeah.
the senior.
Bro.
I call him the archangel. How are you, sir?
I'm great. I'm wonderful. It's a privilege.
Great. Niiella, can we see Niiella?
Hi, everybody.
How are you doing?
I'm well. Hope you guys are well as well.
Oh, we're awesome. Well. Thank you.
Very great. Wow. So let me start with Niiella. Let me introduce Niiella. Niiella started singing from the age of 3. She grew up in a musical family in England, and she sang in the church choir until she started to compose music from the age of 15. Niiella has always had a deep-rooted love for music, especially gospel music. She was the first runner-up of Stars of the Future Season 5 in 2011, a reality show or TV singing competition in Ghana, and was nominated a Foresight Gospel Music Video of the Year. Great. She has released an album titled Shades of Mercy in 2016 and has several singles, including her hits track I Believe, Obiara Niho, featuring Joe Metal, and recent single titled Stand With Me, featuring sounds of New Wine Choir, UK-based group. Niiella also has a cute ear for vocal training, and that's why we brought her here too. Currently has trainees in the UK and in Ghana and holds vocal session classes called Vobox section. Finally, Niiella has a very jovial and down-to-earth character and seems to find and spread joy wherever she goes, coupled with a vocal sound that is very distinct and powerful in its own right. It is safe to say that she is a force to be reckoned with. Hallelujah. We are blessed to have you, Sister Niiella.
Thanks for having me. I can't believe you read out that whole...
Because I don't want us to fight afterwards.
Oh, no.
Okay, so let me speak to people about Mabongi. Mabongi is somebody I've really admired from far. I didn't know we'd be meeting. We met, I think, last 2 years or last year somewhere.
Last year, yes.
And she's so humble. You know, she looks like a Ghanaian, but
I'm relocating.
Mabongi was born and raised in Bushback Ridge in Mpumalanga, South Africa,
yes, sir.
Where she started singing at the age of 4. After her matric, she moved to Pretoria to further her studies, where she enrolled in music and graduated for her degree in 2015, majored in jazz music. She recorded and released her debut album titled Chama. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing it with Chama, in 2012.
It's okay, so don't worry.
Produced by Hlamna, Siluale, and a group of others. She collaborated with artists like Benjamin Dube, Ntokozo, Began Tatwa, Tebs David, Bongi, Ans Colin, and a few others. Mabongi is a worship leader at her church, Kingdom Citizenship Agency. She's been serving there for 13 years. She's so experienced. She qualifies to speak to all of us. Mabongi has a great passion for music, especially in the church where she started training sessions in her own hometown, where she trains different choirs and worship teams. Because of this initiative, she started traveling all over South Africa, training worship teams and choir. And she also offers private singing lessons to individuals. She has released another album in 2018 titled Grace, and has released recently a new single in May titled Only You, produced by Mbata. Once again, you are welcome, my sister, to
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. Thank you, sir.
Our last guest I'm going to introduce is a dear friend. I don't need to read for him. I can just introduce him without reading much. Because if I offend him, Krampuna, he will find a way to fire me. I'll accept it. Pastor Isaiah is a deep brother to me. I met Pastor Isaiah under a rehearsal, and that was way back in one of Daninette's rehearsal, and I fell in love with him. That was all, and we've been friends since. I preach at his church. At least he gives him the opportunity to preach at his church. He's the pastor of Dominion Chapel International, a special place here, she is Legon. He's a man of the word. He's a teacher. He's a man of worship. Most of us are attracted to the way he expresses his worship. He's good. He has a Bachelor in Science degree in Bachelor of Science degree in accounting. I didn't know, Isaiah, you did accounting. I thought you did spiritual something dynamics in the university, but that's cool. He's the host of Diary of Worshipper, and also somebody who speaks to us on the radio every morning on Star FM. He has so many singles to his credit. Everything I Need, Love You Lord, Mikra, Dofu, Ancient of Days. You heard some of them if you joined earlier. And he's also the author of Impact Pills. Ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Let's start with you, Pastor Isaiah.
Yes, sir.
Pastor Isaiah, when we talk about excellence, today we are looking at the habit of an excellent musician. What do we mean by excellence?
Once again, let me appreciate you, brother, for this privilege. And I also want to greet the dear sisters. Niiella, it's been a while. And also, I happen to watch the ministration of the Southern Africa administration. When we talk about excellence, I'm looking at excellence as, did I say perfection? Beyond good, beyond average. All right. And talking about excellence, I look at impact as excellence. I look at purpose being fulfilled. I look at beyond satisfactory. That's how I see excellence. Yeah.
Great. Mabongi, tell us about,
yes,
when we say excellent, what comes to mind?
For me, above ordinary, that's what comes to mind. I don't want to say perfection, but the first thing really that came to my mind was just above ordinary. And I know as musicians, we tend to be perfectionists sometimes, but for me, those are the two main terms that came to my mind. I'm glad that Pastor Isaiah has spoken about the others, but for me, that's what it means for me.
Nice. Niiella, tell us your view about excellence. When we say a musician should be excellent, what are we looking out for? Let's microphone. All right.
Okay. Sorry. Sorry, the question again?
So when we talk about excellence, Niiella, for a musician like you, what is excellence?
I guess I would say excellent would be if you've worked on your gift and your craft to the best of your ability. Literally when it comes to like the physical side of it, when it comes to the spiritual side of it, just bringing everything together to be like a whole package. That's what I would say. I don't know if I would use the word excellent, but maybe close to excellent, because we're always striving to be better. So yeah.
Okay. So, sorry, Mabongi, can you help us to understand who a complete musician is?
Okay. I'll try to just give like specific points. For me, a complete musician is Gift alone is definitely not enough, especially when it comes to gospel music. You need to have the character. You need to be a complete person in such that people must not say, oh, Mabongi is a great musician, but she's just terrible as a person. We can't relate to her. It talks about a whole lot of stuff. It talks about humility. It talks about arriving at rehearsals on time. For me, that's like a major deal. It talks about small things like those. It talks about my relationship with God. It really talks about like everything from me being a kind person around others, or me being a person that others can relate to, and really talk to my personal relationship with God, to my practice time on my own, to my me and God time on my own. Being a complete musician, for me, it talks about all that. It talks about arriving at rehearsals and I know music. It talks about when they say, let us pray, we all engage. I'm right in there as well.
It's not about
Open my eyes.
it's not about just being busy, going
No, not at all.
carrying your bass guitar and everybody saying,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, she
Yeah,
music and all that. There is a
that's true.
whole other side to
There's
it.
a whole Exactly, sir. There's a lot of things to it.
Coaching, your social life, your relationship, marriage,
Yes.
everything should speak to completeness and wholeness. Great. Okay, so how do you deal with procrastination and laziness for a young musician, somebody who's lazy and he knows he has got it, but Charlie is just lazy? Let's get something from Pastor Zaya.
Okay, so before I talk about that one, let me just something later in just a minute about what you asked us earlier on. I think that a complete musician is looking at the three aspects. Paul the Apostle says the God of keep you holy, God keep you holy in your spirit, soul, and body. And so a complete musician gives attention to all the three aspects of who you are: your spirit, soul, and body. Your spirit has to do with your relationship with God. Your soul has to do with your mind, okay, developing your mind, and your body has to do with the aspect of skill, working on your skill. Now, with the issue of doing procrastination, I think that procrastination becomes a problem when one doesn't have a picture of where you're going to. Okay. When you can't see, when you don't have a picture of where you're going to, you don't place value on it, no value, and therefore anything goes at any time. There's a sense of urgency that comes upon a person when the person at least has a glimpse of where he's going. There's a picture, there's a vision out there. But and that is why having a gift for just that all there is to it. You must have a vision. So your ability to see where you're going to and how precious that place is, what you see ahead of you, is a reason that you have a sense of urgency, because procrastination has a lot to do with lack of sacrifice. And of course, you don't sacrifice if you don't see the worth of what you have to sacrifice for. And so for a minister, a young minister who has to deal with procrastination, I want to say that you need to see where you're going to. See it. If you can see it, then I'm sure it's gonna help deal with that aspect of our lives.
Niiella, how does laziness affect the excellence of a musician? Laziness. I mean,
it affects it in every way you can think of, to be honest, because if you're lazy, then you most likely won't.
Let me help you appreciate the question, because it's on the background that, look, I'm gifted. I mean, when you wake me up, I can do it. So
okay.
why worry me? I mean, I can produce it. So how does laziness gradually affect the excellence that we produce as ministers and musicians?
I would definitely say that when it comes to music and when it comes to like worship culture, when it comes to music culture is always evolving. And so if you're relying on your gifting alone, like I can sing, I can hold a note, it sounds nice, alone, to just always kind of like to think to yourself that you're always in that place where you're okay, you just might end up getting stuck, or you might end up getting left behind, because things are always evolving. You have to keep abreast with what's happening with music, with maybe different chord progressions that are coming out. Like things are always evolving. So to me, it wouldn't really make sense if you were to rely on, you know what, it's cool, I'm fine. And speaking from my own personal experience, when I was 19, people would say Niiella at 19 was amazing. But then me at 28 now, when I look back at 19, I can hear such a big improvement. I could have said to myself, you know, it's cool at 19, what I have then, I'm just going to keep it and not work on that. But in working on myself, I realized that there was so much to achieve. Like, there's so much that you can learn every single day, no matter what your voice sounds like or who you are. We're always learning every single day. So I just think that to be lazy would be to do yourself a serious injustice, and would be unfair to yourself. Like, if you really truly love yourself, then please don't be lazy.
Truly love yourself, don't be lazy. Mabongi, would you think that excellence is relative? Excellence in South Africa is relative to excellence in Ghana, relative to London, or excellence to a worship leader in ICGC is relative to excellence in a worship for a worship leader somewhere in, let's say, another denomination?
Well, I do feel that well, it depends on what someone else's standard of excellence is. For someone else, for excellence for them, it could be, if we've got that 3-part harmony down, that's it, we're ready to go. For me, it could be, yeah, of course we've got the 3-part harmony down, but there must be something more. We need to work at it a little more. We need to polish it a little more. We need to tighten it up a little more. So I definitely do believe one of the major reasons why I really wanted to go to music school so badly was that I wanted to come back and give my gift, or what I've learned through all my years of being at music school, to give it to the church, to transfer it to the church. That's really why I wanted to go to school. So for me, excellence, especially for musicians in the church, or for music in the church as a whole, is a major passion of mine. So it's a really, really big deal for me. We could spend like just today's rehearsal and just working on that one song until it sounds great, than, you know, touching on this one and this one and this one. So excellence, as I said earlier, well, there could be different levels, or people see it differently. Someone can listen to it and say, but it sounds cool, you know. So but excellence is really excellence, and something we should really strive for all the time, and every single, especially in the house of God.
You have been a worship leader for over 10 years in the church. You went to school to learn. How has that impacted, you know, the quality of leadership or leading you bring to your craft?
Okay, so when I started serving in my worship team, I was not a leader per se. I think I took on the role about maybe 6-7 years ago, something like that. But as when I started at music school, well, obviously it's early stages, but by the time I hit my third year, I was almost out of varsity. I was almost done. So my third year and my fourth year, by then I was annoying everybody. I was really annoying everybody, because then I'd say, okay, so instead of arriving at 4 o'clock, I need everybody to arrive slightly earlier. So we're going to take 30 minutes. We're going to do warm-ups, and we're going to do a few scales, and we're going to do a few vocal things. And everyone was like, oh, here we go again. You know, but for me, that was really, really important. So it kind of shifted my head that way. It's like I was going even crazier with this whole music thing, because then I wanted us to arrive earlier, to warm up first, to do a bit of technical things before we could get into the songs that we wanted to do for that day. And not only did I want us to be excellent vocally or technically or musically, I mean, I'd attend even the band rehearsals, everything. Like, the band would rehearse on their own, and I'm there. I need to know everything, what they're doing, what they're getting up to, and get involved with that. And for me, it was not important that we only get technically good, but then it was so important for me that we get, even spiritually, we bulk up, in muscle, if I can put it that way. It was really important for us. So we decided to, okay, since we've got a specific day to rehearse, we should have a specific day just to pray. For me, that was like equally important. So hitting music school and started being a leader in my team, I was driving everybody crazy, because then I was even stricter when it comes to notes and this and that and everything. So yeah.
Okay, so let me go to you, Pastor Isaiah. You have served. People don't know that you have really served under Oyedepo for longer. You have really built yourself in obscurity, and then we hear you sing, and you sing all these rants, and we admire it and all that. Because we've spoken many times, tell me, is it when it comes to basic music, stuff we all have to learn, and we are going to go deeply into this, building those habits and of strong disciplines when it comes to music basics. How do you juxtapose consistency with boredomness? Like every time it's like we are tired, but I mean, for most of us, we don't know that is what it is. That's what we are going to put upon. And so we get tired with the bottom. How do I become consistent when I can even feel that, Charlie, I've been doing this, nothing is happening. How do you talk about consistency with bottomless?
Yeah, let me take it from this place. Most times when you are building, especially when it comes to building what you have, your gift, your vocal abilities, all of that, you don't really feel the change. You don't feel the growth.
Yeah.
All right. It's in your delivery, people who are looking and listen that tell you what is happening to you. Now, whatever you're doing that brings you on stage, you must keep doing to stay there and be better. The fact that it's boring doesn't mean you should leave it, because as soon as you leave it, you're going to leave that place of excellence that you're in. Right. I remember in my days in the university, I used to have a routine of, I want to work on my breath. I realized I easily get tired when I'm singing. So I decided to jog. I used to jog like 7 kilometers every weekend. And then I would do some kind of crazy exercises. And I kept doing it for a very long time just to be able to make sure that I was on it, on what I was doing. So I think if something is needed, you see, something can be needful and not joyful, but the product is exciting.
Yeah,
you understand? The process is never exciting. There's never a time you come to a place where you love process. Nobody loves process.
Right.
Because listening to Mabongi talking about when she went to school and then she came back and she stepped on every toe. And most times, leaders who are excellent conscious, excellent driven, can be annoying in a way.
Right.
Because there's what you need to do. Discipline is never sweet. It's never sweet. And these exercises are discipline. That's why it's called discipline. So it does not give room to your comfort. The reason is boring is because your comfort is not aroused. It's your discomfort is having a great time. So yes, it's the truth of the matter is that, let me just say it will never be nice. But you have to keep doing it to maintain that level of excellence that one must do. Yes.
Therefore, we shouldn't be bored with the basics. So let's go.
Not at all, sir. Not at all, sir.
Okay, Niiella, I know you were crazy the last time you released the video, and you were talking about how sometimes we shout praises to people who are singing off, and it's either our ears are dead or they are egomaniac themselves, or whichever way, or they don't know. Now, I know you. Let's go to the basic. Now we are going to the issue of habits, building strong foundation and habits that makes us excellent musicians. Let's talk about basic practices. What are some of the basic disciplines disciplines when it comes to practicing your vocals?
For me, what I would say, the first thing before it even comes to doing the exercises, most singers, when I do classes with singers and I ask them, do you listen to yourself? Most people say no. Straight away, they'll say no, because it's like, oh, I don't like to listen to my own voice, or I don't like the tone of my voice, or like a lot of singers think that other people sound better than them, and so they won't listen to themselves, and then in their mind they create a persona that they start to think is their voice.
That's very true.
But like maybe like I said in one of the videos, Donnie McClurkin sounds good, so now when I sing, I'm gonna be Donnie. You know, I'm trying to do all this, and maybe that's not even the texture of the voice that I have. And so when I do that now, it's just not coming together. It doesn't sound right. It sounds forced. And so that's the first thing. Every singer, you must listen to yourself, because if your ears are not trained, you can't advance. You can't move anywhere. But if you listen to yourself, and then you listen to other artists, and you should listen to a wide range of, maybe not just Ghanaian music, but listen to Nigerian music, listen to white folk music, listen to country music, listen to Black American music, because then you'll see that there's a particular, like when it comes to diction, no matter the country or there's particular things that have to be pronounced a particular way, just so that we understand what you're saying, because it's all about understanding. If you come and you're, no one forget what you're saying. So there are particular things that should be baseline. So if you listen to yourself, and then you listen to other people and you realize that some of your words are not really, then you will notice that for yourself. So when somebody else corrects you or tries to tell you something, you realize that they're not just putting you down, they're literally trying to help you. Yeah, I feel like I could keep going. I don't know. Shall I keep going?
So let's go into the basics. Basics. Habits that we need to build.
So I feel like every musician, every singer should train themselves to know the solfege. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. You have to know that. You have to. Yeah, like pick up, even if you can't play like amazing keys, know where stuff are. Know that if you're on C, the C key is Do. Like things like that would really help you, because then when you're singing, you will know what it means when someone tells you maybe you're flat, you're sharp, you're not singing the notes, that kind of stuff. That's super, super, super important. And then the basic of singing as well is you should be able to sing straight before you run. So teach yourself to be able to hold a note. And there's even people who can run better than they can hold a note, and I find that like that's mind-blowing. There's a lot of people. You can do an amazing run, but then when it's like
don't go too far. There are babies that want to stand when they've not crawled, so it's normal. People want to
yes,
run.
I mean it happens. But the good thing is, you know, we can always go back. You can always go back to the drawing board and start again. Teach yourself to sing straight before you do a run. There's a lot of people that just really, really want to run, and not every voice can run as well. So I would say train your ears and then learn to sing straight before learning to run. I mean, if you can, cool, that's no problem. But teach yourself to be very strong, you know, and tone is super, super important. So figure out what tone your voice has and then build on that. If you have a soft tone, build on that. Like, do things that complement a soft tone. I wouldn't say go and sing Afro beats real loud with a soft tone. When they start hitting drums and stuff, we can't hear you. And then if you have a big voice, then you know that a big voice can fit into like big instrumental type voices. If you had a soft voice, I would say maybe, you know, a song that has like some keys, like guitar. We don't all have to be the same, and that's totally fine. It's our uniqueness that makes us amazing. So that's like two things that I've mentioned.
Yeah.
Let's
go to Mabongi. Basics, pitch. A lot of people flats. How do we get to train ourselves when it comes to hearing very well and pitching correctly?
Niiella has really covered it. She spoke about just know your tonic solfege. That is really important, because then if you don't know how do re mi sounds like, then you won't really know if you are flat or not. So for me, that's a that's like very most basic place to start. Do re mi fa sol la ti do. Like start there. I really do think Niiella has really covered this. If you start there, that's like before you even want to add more things and other things. So your tonic solver becomes really, really important. And having to record yourself, oh my word, I tell this to my students all the time. Whenever you're singing or you're practicing, record yourself and then listen when you're done. So yeah, Niiella has really covered it, and I totally agree with that.
So what are the usual basics that when you hear a singer, you can tell that this guy has not mastered this, not the riffs and the rhyme, the basics that you see that this guy is struggling. Generally, what are some of these foundations that you think we need to speak to?
I would say most of the time when the person starts singing already, even before they do anything fancy, just them being able to hold down the melody. That is so important. Holding down the melody. You are Alpha and Omega, and how you breathe as well. Avoid breathing between words. It just sounds kind of weird. So before you start your song, or when you're still rehearsing your song, mark your breathing points. Okay, so I've got a space to breathe here, there, and there, and then practice to get there. If you've not like if other phrases are longer than others and you're struggling to hit that, then you know, okay, I need to practice my breathing. I really need to practice my breathing. Can I just give one breathing tip to everybody?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So what really works, or the first thing that I start with, let's say somebody new that I've never taught or anything, I'll ask them, take a deep breath for me, and most of the time this is what people do. The moment you raise your chest, your shoulders, you raise your chest and lift your chin up. I'm like, okay, try doing that again, but try and keep your chin as level as possible. Keep your chest, your chest and your shoulders down, and take a deep breath again. A lot of people like talking about breathing into the diaphragm. I think it just confuses. It just confuses a lot of singers,
Don't know what
especially
the
those that are not
diaphragm is.
formally trained. Yeah, exactly. You know, they don't know where it is in their body. They can't even touch it. So I don't even talk about that. You know, I don't even go there. But the advice that I give, just keep your shoulders down, keep your chest down, keep your chin nice and straight, and then take a deep breath again. Okay, do you feel how that feels? And they're like, okay, yes. If not, then I'll say, okay, lie down on your back and just breathe normally. Put your hands around your stomach area and just breathe normally. That movement, when your hands move up when you inhale and then they move down when you exhale, that's the movement that we're looking for, without you having to raise your shoulders or lift up your chest to be able to take a deep breath. I know we don't sing like, you are Alpha. We definitely don't sing like that. But what I'm trying to show is just that whole process. So this is what you want to do. You want to inhale. I know it looks and sounds a bit weird, but believe me, it really, really works. So practice that, do that, and time yourself. Okay, this week I did 6 seconds, for example. And as you keep on doing that, like over and over and over again, you start to stretch your breathing capacity, and it really, really, really works.
Just by way of information, next week we will be having practicum with Mabongi. Just next week, I think will be Wednesday or Thursday. One of them I confirm. Just Mabongi alone, practicum for close to 1 hour 30 minutes. It's going to be practical. I've told them we just want to go into that practical side. So don't miss next week. Pastor Zaya, one time I was sitting with you when someone was running. I guess the person walked, please. And then the person started running. and then you told me that, look, you told me, you gave me some notes to chew on. You said that for you, whatever comes out of your mouth passes through your head before it does.
That's important.
And you told me that is why you often don't go off pitch or flat a song. And it's so true of you. I've been trying to monitor that since. I don't often find you flattened.
That's very true.
So tell us about running and flying. I'm
walking.
Around. What are the basic things we need to get? Because the truth is that, like, I go to a program, and I think I've been influenced before. Sometime I was singing, and one of my guys told me, say, Pastor Edwin, you are running like Pastor Isaiah. I said, me? I don't even do that. But it's all over. It's like people applaud it, and people want to go for it. Ooh, ah, ooh, ah, ooh, ah. It's nice. But what are the basics? What are the basics before you go there? I'm not against it. I want people to appreciate where we move from, you know, before we get to run. Speak to us about that. And then after that, Niiella, you can also, and
yes,
you can have it.
I think I need to meet Mabongi for personal voice training.
You're most welcome, sir.
Be there on Wednesday.
Okay, so I'll be around. I'll be around you. Just as I told you that time. Okay, for me, the understanding is that I must not be a distraction. Whatever that I'm producing must not distract. You see, as gospel singers, our focus is unveiling Christ, impacting lives.
That's true.
Now, so if my tool of delivery or presentation it doesn't achieve that, then why am I doing it? All right, and for me, as I told you that day, that for every note that will come out of my mouth, I am not hearing the first time coming from my mouth. I hear it first in my head before it comes out. I'm not surprised of what comes out. I'll be surprised if I don't think through. All right, but a lot of people, I think people think that singing is it's not fun. It's work.
It's work, yes, sir.
It's work. It's not fun. So just as you think before you talk, I think we should think before we sing. Let the thing go through. When it goes through your mind, does it sound good to you? Does it help you in what you're doing? If it's not, then why give it to people? It means that you are not loving people as you love yourself. That's how it looks like. So for me, for every song I'll sing, in fact, as I'm singing the song, it's already gone through my mind. I can tell, okay, at this point in time, I don't have bread for this place. What do I do to make it better? All right. Okay, at this place, I have bread for it, so let me just go ahead. Okay, at this place, this pitch, I can't take it. Perhaps my voice is strong. What do I do about it? So there's a lot of thinking going on in my head before it comes out. All right. And I've been doing it over the years, over and over and over again. So I think now, it's by default, you know, just like that. I've witnessed people singing and they literally do these runs, and I want to run away from the place because like they are telling us, let's go leave this place, you know. And I don't know who made us think that running, the riffs and run makes you a good singer. I totally agree with what Niiella said. If I can't sing straight, then what am I doing with the other things?
That's true. And
in Mabongi said the same thing. If I can't hold it, the melody, I can't hold it, then what am I doing? Then what am I doing? Because that's the base of the whole thing. All right. So I think we shouldn't rush to do things because we think that it's nice. In fact, maybe you don't even have your voice texture can handle that, your tone can handle that. So why then do it? So for me, what I do with that is that it must go through my mind. If I don't like it, then it's not worth delivering it.
Niiella, I want people to understand that we are not condemning that style. We want it. For me, I think that the church has knocked off a lot of gifted guys who sing, you know, and I'm sure Niiella, for example, I know personally you've gone through that where when you're singing, people are like, what is this? What is this? What is this? But I've come to understand that we need to just appreciate people like that and help them know the application. So anybody who is developed that skill in singing, in riffs and runs, I don't want you to feel we are beating you down. We just want to see how we can help others get it and become like that and do it better. So speak to us, Niiella, about the basics. If I want to learn riffs and runs, what are the basics? I heard somebody do it. I heard Isaiah do it. I want to do it. I heard Mabongi do it.
So we're definitely not condemning riffs and runs. I think it's just a little painful to hear when someone hasn't mastered it and is trying to do it. It becomes chaos. You know, it's very chaotic. And so it can be very difficult to listen to. But it's not like we're condemning it, because when someone does a run and it like falls on all the right notes, everybody's like, come, like, you know, like, yes, that's amazing, that's fantastic. Like, how can your throat even do that so quickly? Like, that's just ridiculous. But for me, what I used to do was, so when I started singing, what song was it? You're all I want. I had one ad-lib for that song, and it went like this. You're all I want. That was it. I wouldn't try anything else because that's what I was comfortable with. So every Sunday, if we sang that song, you would hear me sing the same ad-lib, which was, you're all I want. Finished. Because I didn't trust. I would hear other things happen in my mind, but I was like, I don't think that my throat can comply with what my brain is doing. So I'm just going to keep this one same one. But when I was in my room, when I was in my house, I would try them. I would try this, and I would, is it working? And what I realized was I had to do them slowly. Right. So I put an example up where I did a run that I actually heard, I think it was Jasmine Sullivan and teaching Brandy to do, and she was running upwards. So the run was, and Brandy was like, oh my God, but she did it so quickly. So she was like, no, just break it down slowly. Then you add speed. But if one of the notes drops, then you're like, you start again. Because you have to train the muscles. Like, it's the muscles in the brain have to, you know, they have to align. You have to align.
I hear people, well, I'm not a master, but sometimes I hear people do runs or rips, and I can tell that he's learning this one, but he's not learned the technique. He's now producing the sound. So you don't get the muscles vibrating and doing all that.
Right. And when it comes to runs as well, another thing that I realized was I had to relax my throat. If I went, like, it's tense, it doesn't sound nice. But if I relax, then you're like, ooh, kind of thing. So you just, you have to do it, which is why you should also listen to yourself. Because if you heard someone do a run, you'd be like, ew, what are you doing? That doesn't sound nice. But then once I add a bit of vibrato and I go, you're like, ooh. So you have to listen to yourself. If it doesn't sound nice to you, it doesn't sound nice to us. And a lot of singers think that, oh, maybe they didn't hear. Like, maybe they didn't hear that, like, it didn't really land on the notes. So let me, you know, but we heard it. We heard it. Some people are not musically, you know, inclined. So to them, it's just like, oh, they did something different. Cool. They will cheer you on. That's fine. But when it comes to, if you really want to, like, pursue your gift, your talent, and, you know, have excellence as well, it's not good in, like, it's not enough to just be like, you know, the average person who doesn't understand music thinks it's cool. So that's fine. Because people that most likely will open doors to, like, maybe bigger stages appreciate good sound. So you want to be able, like, your sound should be able to travel across anywhere that it goes. If someone hears it, they should be like, yeah, this person has it, you know, has something good. So yeah, break it down, make it slow, and then add speed. It takes time.
Mabongi, tell us about basic riffs, techniques that we need to learn. Basic techniques.
Look, Niiella has really just put everything out there. Riffs and runs are really all about speed. You know, they are really all about speed, and our vocal cords are a muscle. So it when she was talking about the brain and the muscle aligning, that's exactly what it is. And to learn, I think for me, well, this is when you want to take it to, like, to the next level. Like, you want to go, like, crazier. It's to learn, like, other scales. Pentatonics. Most of the people use pentatonics for riffs and runs as well. Do re mi sol la do la so mi re do. So they like using that that scale, but then you can take it to the next level, can learn a blues scale, for example, but then the application is a different case altogether. So if you learn more scales, they kind of open your ear, and you're able to hear music even differently, and you're able to perceive, okay, this I can do here, this I can't do there. I have also heard people who have learned something, as you were saying, so somebody just learned something and they just can't wait to sing it out there, and you can tell, okay, that was not ready, for it was not ready to be delivered, but because we just can't wait, I learned a new thing, so I can't wait. The next time I'm on stage, I'm definitely throwing it in there. So the basics of riffs and runs is to really break it down. Like, I couldn't stress it more. As Niiella said, you just break it down and do it, and just build on that speed, just keep on building on that speed, and it's gonna get there.
Let's talk
Can I say
about
something?
sorry. Okay.
I was gonna say, the thing about like Mabongi said, learning skills and stuff like that, because I know at one point Pastor Isaiah said, singing is not fun. I guess it kind of
hard work.
Yeah, it's work. Because the thing is, once your mind picks up all these little things, the mind is a very interesting thing. Right. It now picks scales and stuff, and then it starts to kind of like just do this by itself. You teach it something, and then one day you'll be on stage and you will hear this run come across your mind, and you sing it, and you'll be like, oh my God, I didn't rehearse that. I don't know where that came from. But because you've kind of invested and you've given it, it's like jigsaw, you've given it pieces, lots of bricks, and so it starts to kind of like build different shaped houses in your brain. But you have to start, like you have to give it that beginning, and then it kind of meets you halfway sort of thing. But you have to keep feeding the brain more information, and then the brain itself just kind of takes it and starts to break it and spread it across. So it's not like you have to learn everything, but learn something, because your mind will pick it up and it will start to kind of implement it. Yeah.
I want us to talk about basic rudiment like pitch standardization, staying on your pitch and not flatten. But before we come there, Dr. Zaya, spiritual habits that we need to cultivate as musicians. What are some of the very important spiritual habits? There are a lot, but tell us in the brevity of time. Spiritual habits that are critical to our personal growth. Yeah.
So you said very basic, so I'm not going to try to be a bit some way. Very basic. First of all, every gospel singer is a Christian. And it's a spirit of every Christian to know what the word of God says. So you must have a good Bible study life. You must have a good prayer life. You must also have your personal routine of worship life. All right, because most times, some of us, what we do on stage is the first time we are doing it. We're not used to it. Okay, you come and stand there. Perhaps you heard me singing in tongues in one of my programs, and perhaps the person thinks that maybe it's part of the style for the day. But if anybody that stays in my house knows that you can hear me at the middle of the night, and I'm doing that. It's my time with God, and I always love to use the scripture. And when I'm talking about this aspect, Peter and John says, "Such as we have, we give to you." Now, when you try to give what you don't have, it makes you a thief.
It makes you a what?
You must be possessor of it. A thief. You're a thief. You understand? You don't have it and you want to give it. Where are you taking it from? Right? So very yeah, I mean, and one of the things, I don't know if I should go there, but let me just say this. A lot of times people are talking about South African music, Nigerian music, Ghana music. You know, that there's something about South African music, something about Nigerian music, and it's not playing Ghanaian music. When I look at these two sects of people talking about it, I see conviction on both ends. But in our own case, there's a lot of performance, not conviction. And it's because we don't have this practical things. All right. So have your personal time reading the Bible, not because you want to go and preach. It's your personal time. Because a day will come, you stand before God. It's not you're going to go tell God that, Lord, I've been doing programs. You're going to stand before God. So study the Bible. When a temptation comes, don't call it by a ministerial name. So it will come to you. So study the Bible. Pray. Pray as long as you can pray. Speak in tongues as often as you can. All right. And then Have fasting times. It's very important. These are spiritual disciplines I should do. There's a spiritual discipline of solitude. Sometimes stay away from social media. Switch off the phone. Switch off all the Facebook and Instagram for 2 hours. Just be there. Think about God. Meditate about God. How do you describe God in music when you don't have his vocabulary? How do you do that? So you must have this basic things. And that helps with the content, the conviction. And when you now have the skills that we are being taught right now from Niiella and Mabongi, you're singing with such grace, such excellence. So spiritually, we must be on top, not because we are in ministry, but we must be on top because we are Christians. Very basic. Don't go and read 20 chapters. You can't stand it. I believe in consistency. I prefer we go like I'm reading 3 verses a day, every day, or I'm praying 10 minutes every day, or I'm fasting 2 hours every day, than to give the huge, dreams and goals and not be able to achieve. So we must have that these very basic things, and also learn to put the word of God to work. Right. So most of us who are in the music departments and all of that, you read this morning about forgive your neighbor, and then right after you're done reading and praying in the afternoon, your neighbor offended you, and then you find difficult to forgive. That was the practicals of what you studied, the theory. And what will show that you're growing is how you're able to put the practicals. These are very, very basic things for me, and I think that's key.
Thank you, Pastor Isaiah. Mabongi, character, and the gift. Things, Christian character. They are musicians who are struggling with certain characters. Sometimes we would see them and say, oh, therefore they are not, even gospel singers, or they are not worship leaders. But sometimes I admit that some are struggling with character. But when we are growing up, our parents see a gift in us. They see us dance, they see us, reciting poem, and we are good at it. And so they just encourage the gift. And sometimes we grow with the gift, and we begin to lack in building the character.
Yes.
Please talk to us about habits that would form strong character that can affect your music.
I think I want to pick up from where Pastor Isaiah was coming from. For me, I feel like the word of God centers you. I feel like that's the base of everything. The word of God really does center you, because as a musician or as a creative, you've got this gift, and wherever you go, people applaud you. It's easy for you to just grow a big head, and feel like, yeah, man, I'm the man, I'm doing this thing. But the word of God really, really, really centers you. It's just got a way of keeping you humble. I was once involved before I started doing stuff on my own, like earlier on. I was part of this other band with the most incredible singers in there, and there was this guy who played guitar. Oh my word, he's an amazing guitarist. But then I had always seen him on TV and stuff like that. So as a young Mabongi, I'm kind of recruited into this band, and I joined these guys, and these were people that I used to see on TV, by the way. And so this guy specifically comes to my mind because he was such a brilliant, he still is a brilliant guitarist. But my encounter with him, I don't know, I was just shocked the whole time, the way this guy is, because we had to travel about 3 hours from where we are to a place where we were playing at a worship night or something like that. And the way this guy was talking, the things that were coming out of his mouth, the things that he was talking about, I was just surprised, because to me, automatically, the way I was raised, like automatically, I just think if anyone who is in the gospel rounds is a Christian. And for me, it was shocking that this guy, he doesn't sound like, what he is. And he's a gospel guitarist. So for me, that was really, really shocking. And that, okay, how can, my mind could not comprehend that. So it becomes really important you can be a great guitarist, you can be a great keyboard player, but just terrible at being a person, and nobody really wants to work at that. I remember someone, I think one of my teachers said to me, you can be an A-class musician, but with a stinking attitude, nobody will want to work with you. They rather come and work with a B-class musician who will be just a person to be able to work with, you know, who they can talk to, who arrives at the gig when you're called. You're there, you know, you're there on time, stuff like that. You communicate. If you can't make it, you say, I can't, you know, just little things like those. So I totally feel like the word of God is something that really, really, really grounds me, because as I go through the word of God, Christ is built in me. You know, it's not just Mabongi anymore, but Christ is built in me the more I stay in the word of God. So I believe that is really, really key for anyone, actually, for everybody. I really love what Pastor Isaiah said, that before you're a creative, before you're a musician, you are a Christian first. You know, so that's an important aspect right there
to build on. There are people who have not built certain qualities as musicians. Like I said, they come into the fold and they are first coming in because of their gift, and they begin to rise through the ranks or whatever, and they begin to fall. Let's deal with one big issue when it comes to musicians: morality, sexual immorality, or sexual sin, or all its related issues. When it comes to relating to the opposite sex, how, Niiella, I mean, can you speak to that for us, relating to the opposite sex? How do you handle that as a singer? You are always on stage, people love you, they like the way you look. As a matter of fact, people think you are sweet as the songs you sing, but Niiella, I mean, specifically sexual morality, how do we deal with it? You know, the temptation as singers within our circle, not outside. Not that you are going to apply for a job and somewhere. I'm talking about within circles of musicians.
Yeah. For me, I would say I definitely had to learn like how to control and how to deal with that along my journey from the beginning. Because I didn't just start like, I want to be a gospel musician. If anything, I didn't want to be a gospel musician, actually. I wanted to be every other thing in this world besides a singer. I knew I could sing, but I think the first thing I wanted to be was a nurse at 6 years old. So I never wanted to be a singer. And then because I grew up in the church and everything, all I'd ever known was church. So for me, I first went outside and then kind of made my way now back in, because once I went, I kind of spiraled out, and then I was like, oh dear God, like it was terrible for me, like all my experiences, everything was terrible. So I now had to come back to God. And that was like a whole boot camp of reprogramming my whole character, everything that I did. It all had to now kind of change, because before I would come to church and everything because my parents, because my mom was a pastor.
Keyboard.
I finished the second one of that test.
Sorry.
You did, didn't it?
Yeah. That's my first.
It's
I
over there.
was like, you just work on that. I wrote down a lot of stuff already that I knew.
Mike.
There were some words I didn't know. Some of them I should have known.
Okay, Pastor Isaiah, your microphone.
But yeah,
sorry.
That one part just confused me.
Is it okay? Sorry.
Good. Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So I basically had to kind of work my way back. And it was like a boot camp, like a character boot camp between me and God, to be honest. And I feel like every Christian, you should, as much as possible, your relationship really, really, really has to be personal. I can't stress it enough. It has to be personal. It can't be because of your church members or because of the aunties in the church, you know, think you should be, you know, they speak maybe when you do a particular way or you do a particular thing. It really has to be personal. So I... on the beginning of my journey, when it came to me making my way back. Like, it was starting with, you know, a situation that happened with a boy. And then from there, things just kind of it spiraled all the way down. And I had to like regain my gears, you know, my brakes when it came to sex and how I thought about it. And, you know, as Christians, we really have to reprogram our mind, especially when it comes to sin. The Bible says that we should flee. It doesn't necessarily say you should pray in tongues or you should send fire against sexual immorality. It tells you to flee. So that flee mentality has to become part of your lifestyle. When someone approaches you in a particular way, you have to be able to build the muscle to be able to let people know that, I'm sorry, you know, you can be my friend, but beyond this level, you know, you put particular standards and structures in place that people cannot go beyond. You can be friendly with everybody, but not everybody should be able to call me after 12 midnight. Not everybody should be able to call me after 9 p.m. There has to be
some of the things. I'm happy you're raising them because thank you so much. I wanted us to come there so we see that we're not just, in fact, if we just start by saying that say no to anybody who wants sex, and it's easy to say that, but it's building the gates, policing the gates. You know, these little things you're talking about. We finished rehearsal, you know, and I'm taking you to your house. I take you to your house. You bring me back to the junction. I take you again to your house. You bring me back to the junction. It's 12 o'clock. People see us standing on stage.
Yeah, why I wouldn't invite you into my house, you know, like, oh, come for a drink. No, go home. For a drink.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about the habits of excellent musicians. We are not just talking about the technical skills alone. We are talking about the completeness, so that if I can sing, but I can't zip up. If I can sing, but I can't tame my tongue. If I can sing, and I've been duping people, we are saying that there is a question mark on how excellent you think you are. That's what we are talking about, even sexual morality. That how do you build habits that will not lead you into temptation? Now, there's one other thing I see sometimes. You go for rehearsal and I want to say this. I don't want to maybe call it habits, but having been a leader of group for a while, I see that there are little things that the ladies ignore, and soon they come back with a football, you know, and we have to go for the wedding by force and all that. Mabongi, do you understand what I'm saying? What I'm saying is that little things we do at rehearsal end up becoming big things at the end of the day. You go for rehearsal, and let's say ladies are sitting on the laps of guys. It's one thing that I admire those guys who do that, in the sense that I wonder whether they don't have feelings, they are okay, you know. And it's like, yeah, it's a sister. You want me to assume that you are not thinking negative, and I shouldn't think negative. I shouldn't speak out, because if I do, it's like, oh, you are too bad. Mabongi, can you just speak to that? Yes, and Pastor Zaya can maybe talk to that.
You know, so when especially these rehearsals, mostly it's young people. It's young people mostly. I'm talking even the people that work with me. Okay, some of them are married, but mainly it's young people. I think we need to set boundaries. Yeah. As well, like set boundaries, like, of course, yes, I do want everybody to be friends here, to be able to get along. I've got a thing where I always say I want us to be family first, you know, before we can even go out there to minister. We must have that close relationship with each other, but there definitely has to be boundaries. Like, there are other things that are just not acceptable, especially as Christians. You know, we can't act like we are unbelievers. It becomes important that we set certain boundaries. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're not doing, even if it might look like nothing is wrong with it, but as long as it looks kind of suspicious, let us just not go there at all completely. So for me, it's something that even with the guys that I work with, most of them are young people, but these are some of the things that we put in place. Even if we're like a new person who comes in, you know, say this is who we are, this is how we do things. I mean, I'm talking about something as small as dress code. For me, dress code plays a major role. Like it's actually a big deal. It's not small. It's actually a very big deal about how not just me, but the people who are I'm standing behind me, the people who are behind the instruments, how we all dress, because that also represents who we are, and our job is to represent God properly. So those are some of the things to actually note, because if an unbeliever can come in and we're just acting anyhow, they'll be like, I don't know, is this a club? What is going on here? You know, so it's important that we show the character or the nature of Christ in everything that we do, like literally in every little thing that we do.
Well, there are some little habits that sometimes disturb the fabric of our music groups and rehearsal groups and all that. Sometimes people come in and she or he is a kleptomaniac from wherever and brings it to the group, or she's been begging for money or manipulating people, you know, to take their money and or stuff. I mean, the other ones, you know, Pastor Zaya, how do musicians end up becoming that way and building those habits, and how can they overcome that? I don't know if you really understand my question. We can hear you. Your mic is muted.
My lectures have started, so I need to attend to my professor in a few minutes, and then I'll get back.
No problem. Okay. Did that. Maybe let's go to Niiella. Building little habits that can really damage your image as a musician. You know.
I think it goes right back to what Pastor Isaiah said about before we are musicians, we should be Christians. Like, it's character is such a big deal. Like, I can't stress it enough. And this is why, like I said before, we have to have personal relationships with God, because if you really have a real relationship with God, or if you're striving at your relationship with God, there are particular things that he will impress on you, or he will show to you that you have to change. The only reason why maybe that wouldn't happen is because you are intentionally closing your eyes to what God is telling you to change about yourself, or to work on. And obviously, we're all coming from different places, different backgrounds. Maybe someone was, you know, in a hard place, and so they started to maybe ask for money, and now it's become a habit. But we always need to be in a place of self-reflection. Every time you need to ask yourself, what do I need to change in my character? What's good? What's bad? What habits have I collected? What do I need to work on? What do I need to take out? What do I need to keep? What do I need to strengthen? What needs to be? It needs to be an everyday thing that happens. The same way that we would work on our relationship with God every day, like we pray every day, spend time with him every day, read our Bibles every day, you know, as much as we can into our schedules. It should be the same with character. You know, it should get to the point where your mind does it without you even having to tell your mind. Like, if you have a conversation with someone, and then you realize that maybe in the middle of the conversation, you felt some type of way because of what they said, immediately you should ask yourself, why? Why did I feel that way because of what the person said? Is it because it triggered me? It triggered a particular maybe emotion that I'm still holding on to some pain somewhere? Or is it because maybe it's the person? They have something. Like, it should be consistent. I feel like every person should always be in a place of, what's happening? How do I learn? How do I change? How do I evolve? Just because we are Christians doesn't mean that we're no longer human beings. Right. You know, and as human beings, every day we learn. Literally, life is a school. Even if you're 76, you have to learn, because things change, things evolve, nothing stays the same. Right. And so if you have those habits, you need to really evaluate yourself, because what may happen is you just don't want to get to the point where, you know, everything that's done in the dark will come to light. That it gets to the point where maybe you've built yourself up to this level as a musician, and then because of a habit that you should have let go at this stage, it now comes and literally cuts the legs out from underneath you, and you basically fall and you're not able to get back up to that level again. Like, ask yourself, how would that feel? And even though it hasn't happened yet, put yourself in there, identify with the emotions, and use that to work on yourself. Like, from that place of like, it would hurt. And so you go there and then you work on yourself, even though it hasn't happened yet. yeah, I hope that helps.
Thank you. Let's go to rehearsal, habits of rehearsal. Mabongi, what should be the average daily rehearsal duration for a good musician, singer?
Sure. When it comes to time, I'd just say minimum is 3 hours. It depends on what we're preparing for and how much time we have to prepare. But our rehearsals, let me talk about our setup. If we've got enough time to be able to rehearse, and I've used the same people since my first album, so which means it's literally the same crew all the time. Like I've only had to change singers 1 or 2 times, and that's because they only had to swap because the other one was not available, and then I had. But it has literally been the same people, so which makes life a bit easier because they know the songs. Even when we were working on the songs when they were still raw, preparing for all the albums. Well, it's just 2 albums, but with all the albums, I've been working with the same people, so it makes life a bit easier. So if we've got time, we'll rehearse maybe 3 hours a day. If we don't really have time, we'll probably start at around 10 and have lunch break, and then 4 or 5 o'clock we're done for the day. So depending on how much time do we have.
You're referring to when you're having a concert. Tell us, we see you on the platform with Benjamin Dube and the rest. When you are preparing for a concert, what goes into the rehearsal? How much time? Tell us, just give us an idea from perspective.
Okay, so for something as big like we did with Pastor Benjamin Dube, we literally went to rehearsals as if we were going to work. We would rehearse Monday to Friday, Saturday sometimes, but he wanted us to rest on Saturday, well, Sunday obviously, but then we would rehearse Monday to Friday from 9 o'clock to 4 o'clock for 4 to 6 weeks. So between 4 to 6 weeks, that's how much we do. But normally in 4 weeks, all the songs are...
From give us a typical scenario. What do you do from 9 to 4?
Oh my word! So we get there. It's usually because it's quite a number of songs first, and all the songs are new for us. So this is not my setup. We're talking about the Bishop's setup. So all the songs are new, and we're talking about maybe around plus minus 18-20 songs, somewhere around there. So all the songs are new, and everybody's coming in for the first time on that first day. So it takes a bit longer. The first week we're learning songs and all that stuff, and the second week the first 2 weeks maybe we're still learning songs and stuff, but week 3, 4 and 5 if possible, or if needed, then we're just tightening everything. We're memorizing structures, we are tightening up vocals. Sometimes the band will have their own days, especially towards the big day. Then we don't literally come every day. Maybe we'll do Monday's vocals, Tuesday's band, Wednesday's vocals, Thursday's band, Friday maybe everybody will come in, or Friday I was like, okay, you guys take a day off, I'll see you on Monday. So it's those things, but I think it's mainly just allowing ourselves time and not to feel under pressure that we have to record. I mean, we have to rehearse all the time, every day, but it's more or less like that. When we rehearse the whole day, we take a break somewhere in the middle, but it's because all the songs are new to us. That's the reason why.
Wow. Wow. Well, I mean, I can ask the question. Part of what we are doing is to give people the opportunity to find answers that will come from other people. So I'm going to go to our page, and if you want to ask questions, please show by your chat. Show the blue hand lifted. Just show the palm, and we would unmute you quickly. Get ready for that. Let's go to Richmond Adai. Please tell us where you are zooming from. Your name.
All right. Yes, can you hear me? Yes. Hi. Good evening to everyone.
Richmond.
Yes.
Hold on. Before Richmond goes on, I think I have seen Brandon Comfort already on the line. Brandon Comfort is the guy who sang "Magnify the Lord" from PTC. That fair, handsome guy. Yeah. Hi, Brandon. How are you doing? Just say hello to us.
Hello.
I think at the proper time we'll unmute you. Hi, Brandon. How are you doing? Hello, Brandon. Okay, we'll keep working on that, and if we get him, let's go to Richmond Adai.
Yes. Hi, good evening to everyone. I am calling in from Accra, Kuntunse. That's very close to Insawam, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have two questions. My first question is, you know, we are usually advised to probably pick like a professional and then listen to in order to develop our craft. So the first part of my first question is, in picking someone like that, what are we looking out for? Are we looking out for similarities in the tone or the texture of the voice? Are we looking at the key or the comfortable range? What exactly are we looking out for in picking such a person? And then my second question is, sometimes you hear people with like such a beautiful tone and such clarity in their voice. Now, how or is it possible for you to sort of change how you sound in terms of like the clarity of your tone? And does the regular voice exercises that we do help you to achieve that, or do you have to do something else? Yes, thank you.
Which of you will take the question? Maybe one take the, maybe Niiella take the first one, and Mabongi will take the second one.
Okay, so the first part of the question was about listening to someone else to basically learn from them, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I guess what I would say is, like I said, I think one of the first questions you asked, I said it's good to listen to different types of music. Even though maybe you would listen to one person to kind of see how they pronounce things or how they go about singing, I would also advise not to listen too much to one person, because you might start to take on that person's like singing vocabulary or personality, because every singer has a way that they do stuff. And what makes us unique is the fact that we have little quirks, you know, that we do. So if you listen to someone too much, you might start to mirror them. And that would, in turn, maybe you do smoothen out your singing or work on your diction and stuff. But now if you sing, people might say, oh, you sound like Pastor Edwin, you know, and that's not always a good thing. You really want to sound like yourself. It can be like, okay, you have, you know, some of the things that he has, which is definitely a compliment, because Pastor Edwin is great. But then you don't want to be Pastor Edwin, because Pastor Edwin is Pastor Edwin. You want to be you. When we hear you, we should say that's Richmond. So I wouldn't say listen to one person, listen to different people, because certain things are standard. Diction is standard, you know. I'll use this example because, you know, there's a lot of Ghanaians on the line. For example, if we are saying, you are hot, handsome in this place, like awesome, you know, some people say handsome or handsome, you know. You know, the word awesome should sound like awesome. It shouldn't sound like
worship you.
Or, you know, worship, stuff like that. Like worship. There's certain parts of diction that is standard. Even if you have an accent, you know, if I'm speaking, you still understand. I'm still saying awesome. I'm sure if Mabongi said it, maybe there's a slight accent difference, but it's still the word awesome. So if you listen to someone too much, you might start to, you know, mirror them, which is not so great. But there's standards in all music, you know. So listen to a wide range of music so that you would hear what the standard is across board, you know, and not just one particular person. Yeah.
Thank you. Right.
All right. Yes, the second question, I think if I got Richmond right, he was asking about your tone. Like, is there a way to adjust your tone or to work on your tone? I hope I got your question right. Okay, so fun fact, did you know that you actually sound the way you sound because of the shape of your head? Yes, the shape of your head.
Really?
So you sound like you because of the shape of your head. Some of us,
Which
our
shape
mouth
is better?
cavity.
So I go for that one. I do something about it.
Yes. So some people have got you sound the way you sound. You sound like Richmond because of how you are built, because of the shape of your head, because of how your mouth cavity as well, your nasal cavity as well. So there are a little thing like little things that create who you are, that make you sound like yourself. So with your tone, I do believe you can enhance it, but it's not something that you wake up tomorrow and you sound like Pastor Isaiah, for example. You'll still sound like yourself, but there are little things that you can do, I think, that can enhance your tone. So I think one thing that I really want to talk about is how some people get to, okay, so when we sing, we use our nose cavity and our mouth cavity. That's how I'm able to go, I'm able to sound like that, because sound, I was using my nose cavity. But then you also don't want to sound very nasal. Right? I feel like I'm going to get a bit too technical, and I really don't want to do that. I want to talk in a way that it will be plain and simple.
Next week. Next week we have just you and technicalities.
Yes, yes. So I feel like I'm going to go a bit technical because my explanation on how you can enhance your tone, you can shape your vowels more, you can open your mouth more, you can control your breath more, right? I think to keep it simple, that way you can do those three things. That's going to help as well, and you can try and keep your sound coming through your mouth mainly. There are people who kind of sound a bit nasal, you know, when they sing, they kind of sound something like this, and it's kind of weird. You are awesome in this place, mighty God, you know. So it sounds a bit weird, and you don't want to use mainly your nasal cavity to produce sound. You want most of your sound to come through your mouth. In that way, you are able to control you're able to control it. So I think I'll get a bit more technical, but I think for me those are the three things that you can really do to enhance your sound, your tone, I mean to say.
Thank you. Let's go to Ernest Aja. Hello. Ernest Aja. Check your environment. Hello. Hello. Okay, let's go to, I see Philip Jolly. Let's go to Philippa Jolly. Ernest, are you ready? Okay, Philip. Hello, Philip.
Hello. Yes, sir. Good evening, please.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
You're welcome.
Hello, good evening.
Philip,
Hi,
thank you, sir.
Hold on. Ernest, please hold on. Let's hear Philip.
I wanted to ask, for some of us in
Philip, check your. I think check. Philip, check your line. Check your line, and then let's go to Ernest. Ernest Aja.
Hello.
Yeah.
Please, good evening. My name is Ernest once again, and I'm calling from Fosu-Kwakye, Ghana.
Sorry, Ernest.
Please, I want. Hello.
We are listening, sir. We are listening.
All right. Please, I want to ask. All right. I want to ask, as a singer, what do you really have to do when it comes to training your voice regularly? Like, what can you do to always be on guard? Like you are alone and you want to do something on your own as a singer.
What do you do?
You feel like you're not motivated. Hello.
What do you do when you want to do what?
You want to work on your vocals
When you
personally.
want to work on your vocals on your own. What do you do on your own?
Yeah.
When you thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. It's okay. Let's go to is it Becky Edwards? Becky Edwards.
Oh, hi. Thank you for the opportunity. Hi.
You're welcome once again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I'm really enjoying this tuition. It's helping us all. I just said to one other person that I'm on with at the moment that we actually have not started training as a choir. From all the expertise that we hear these beautiful people sharing, it's just comes to me that actually everybody can become better.
Where are you speaking from, please?
Sorry, I'm speaking from London, and yeah, so I am asking this question in terms of having a choir, like a group of people that sing in church, and the fact that rehearsal or training, I would say voice training, is a key thing. I mean, that is what makes the difference between a good singer and a bad singer. Where you have to deal with a group of people, and there are maybe a few people, maybe one or two people who are not readily available by reason of work commitment or other issues of life to come for rehearsals and stuff like that. What do you do as a choir leader? Because obviously you want to perfect things with the whole group, but then one or two people are not available for rehearsal or for the training or for whatever retreat that has been put together, and it's kind of continuous. It's not a one-off. But you can't sack them as well. You can't sack them from the choir. What do you do? It's quite a dicey issue. But I just thought, let me throw this question out there and see if somebody else resonates with such a situation.
Thank you, Becky. Thank you. I'll take the last question and then we'll come. So please make sure you've written the question now. Let's go to who is next? Lenoma, sorry. Lenoma. Can we unmute Lenoma?
Okay. Hi.
Hi, Lenoma. How are you doing?
Hello.
Great. Where are you speaking from?
I'm speaking from Ukraine.
Where? Ukraine?
Yes, please.
Okay, please go ahead.
Okay, so aside the practicing, the praying and all that, I'd like to also know the type of books that are appropriate for you, the singers, and most importantly, the worshipers. So that's my question.
Okay, so any literature that worshipers can have and read, right? Any book, is that what you said?
Yes, please.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
So let's go to Mabongi first. Let's hear from you. You can answer all the three questions and Niiella will give a view on that. She asked about books, literature, and we go. Yes, please go ahead.
All right, let me see if I can go through all three questions just quickly. The first question from Phil, he spoke about training regularly, what to do on your own. Okay, there's just a whole lot of things that you can really do. But to get better at singing, you really need to sing. But then you don't just wake up in the morning and start singing. Of course, your vocal cords need to get prepared. You need to warm up and all that stuff. Oh my word, I really don't know what to say, where exactly to direct you, because there's just a whole lot of things, and I don't know if we have the time for me to just give you a few things, or we can address this on Wednesday, Pastor Edwin. I don't know what you
on Wednesday.
suggest.
Address it on Wednesday for us.
Should we talk about this on Wednesday? Okay, I'll give you my routine basically. What I do on a day-to-day basis, although it's different things depending on that day or stuff like that. But we can talk more about that on Wednesday. I'll note it and I'll just give you my whole routine. And the next question, Becky, that's a I've come across that situation as well in that team. So in our church, almost everybody, like maybe 80% of our worship team, it's married people, right? Some of them are they're couples. So there are things that also come up. They've got family commitments, they've got work issues, and it becomes one big mess. So for us, we are a smaller team. I can't exactly say, okay, no, you're not there on Friday when we're rehearsing. So you're not. We literally need everybody that is in the team, like for every service that we have at church. It's a bit of a tricky one, but I think you need to set standards or set rules in place that, okay, guys, this is how we're going to operate. And maybe with us it was a bit better because we rehearsed twice in a week in our church. So we were a bit gracious. If you miss one rehearsal but catch the other one, okay, that's fine. But if you miss both rehearsals, unfortunately we can't have you on stage on Sunday because you probably wouldn't know what we did and what happened. So I think maybe a really important thing is just to set rules. Okay, guys, this is how things are going to work. If you keep missing rehearsals, and believe me, we do understand people go to work, everybody goes to work. I think with me, I was the only full-time musician in my team who was able to, be flexible around stuff, and everybody else still had to go to work and had to take care of their families and their children and all that stuff. But an important thing I think is just sit down with your team, talk to them, and also ask them, okay, guys, since you're struggling, how can we help? Is there a way that we can help you so you are able to, be here more often? Some of them might find that there are bigger problems at home or bigger issues than just work. So I think for me, those are the two things, and I really, really hope that can be helpful because I know this can be a really, really big challenge. Okay, and then coming to Lenoma's question, to be honest, I'm not reading anything that is talking about praise and worship, but I am reading something that is empowering me as a person, because if I'm gonna be a great leader, and I believe I need to be a great person first of all, and then I can be a great leader. So currently I'm not really reading anything book-wise. I'm not really reading anything that is talking about praise and worship. I'm reading 2 books, 3. I don't know if I can say that I'm reading 2 or 3 books at the same time because the other one is kind of lagging behind. But let's say I'm reading 2 books currently. But these are books that are working on me, that are empowering me. There are things that I feel, okay, I need to work on this. I need to work on that. I need to work on that. So I am currently reading books that are talking about self, how to work. It's still Christian books, The other one is called Boundaries, and I'm just reading different things, but the things that I'm reading are really working on empowering me as a person first.
Right. Let's hear from Niiella.
Okay, so to address the first question, which was how to work on vocals when you're alone, to be honest, there are a lot of YouTube tutorials that are actually quite good, that will give you little exercises that you can do. Once again, going back to what we spoke about at the beginning of this session, listening to yourself. If you can also get maybe somebody else, maybe like your church or something, who has maybe a better ear than you. Usually musicians have better ears than singers because they actually they play, so they hear the notes all the time. So if you're flat, sharp, that kind of stuff, they'll be able to tell you. So if you can bounce stuff off someone who maybe plays an instrument, they'll be able to tell you that, oh, this sounded cool, this didn't, that kind of thing. So you could do YouTube tutorials, and then you could also bounce it off someone so that so that you're not also learning wrongly, because you might not know if you're doing the right techniques or not. But listening to yourself, paying attention to yourself is super, super important. And I would also say, try to find a vocal coach, even if it takes you 6 months to save up for the person's fee. I think it's really important. When I wanted to go see a vocal coach, the guy, he charged £70 an hour, between 70 to 80 pounds an hour, which is a lot. It's a lot of money. I saved up because I was losing my voice and I was scared A singer with no voice is not a singer. It's like a footballer with no legs. You know what I'm saying? So,
like it's a footballer. That's it.
Well, a singer with no voice is not a singer.
Yes,
so I was scared, you know. So I invested. I took my time. I saved up £10, £5 until I got the fee, and I went to go see him. And it literally changed the way I even look at the voice. And I haven't lost my voice since the end of 2018. I've had tired voice, but I haven't had like, you know, no voice. That hasn't happened to me, which in the past, like, it would happen to me all the time. So to the second question about the choir, I think what Mabongi said was perfect. To have rules in place, because the choir in my church in Ghana, we have rules. If you didn't come to rehearsal, if you come on stage, you'll be doing, you wouldn't know the words. So you're not out of the choir, but you don't know the song, so you're gonna have to sit this one out. But yeah, it's also important to speak to people to also find out what's happening with them, and how maybe you can work with them as well. But I know it can be tricky, and choirs are sometimes one of the most difficult groups to work with. But if you can find groups that everybody, as long as everybody did kuli and agreed to the rules, then you must abide by it, even if you're upset. And when it comes to the literature, I'm more of a sermon person. I would watch sermons. I'm not much of a reader per se. And I think if you're working on yourself, your relationship with God, your character and everything, I believe that your voice is a representation of who you are, your spirit. You're literally, when you stand on stage, it's like you are naked, you're bare, you've opened your spirit like this. True. So as long as you're in a position where you're good with God, then I believe that your worship as well, because you're worshiping him, and you're also pulling the people with you. Like, it's a whole thing that's happening together. It should happen automatically. So if you're working on that, then I believe
okay,
it will all come together for you. Yeah.
So maybe the next time you choose one question, the other choose the other one, so we can have a lot more. To speak to the literature, I can refer to quite a number of them. Lenoma, sorry if I didn't get the name right. They are good books from, I'll give you the authors. Bob Coughlin is one good guy I really listen to. You can chew on him. Once you get Bob Coughlin, you will get to John Piper, you would get to those guys, conservative on that side. You can also go to evangelicals like a book from J.W. Hayford, the guy who wrote Majesty, Worship His Majesty. We have Miles Morrow, we have Bill Johnson. You can go there and get some books for you. But I also say that to be very good in literature or understanding literature, don't just go for direct worship books. Go for other books that will prep you to understand what you are doing. So talk books about love by John Stott or any theologian you want to go for, a very good writer. Okay, I will go to Philip, and then I will go to Michael Ano, come to Ephraim Kanda. Philip, are you there? I hope you don't have a ghost sound now.
Yes,
hello.
Sir. I'm here. I'm here.
Great. Let's hear from you.
A call came through, so it affected
Yo.
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's hear from you.
Yes.
Oh, Jesus. As soon as you start talking,
I think you should type this question.
Just type your question. I'll read it for you. It's a good day for you. Michael, I know. Let's go to Michael. I know we'll go to Ephraim. Philip, I can promise you we'll discuss this. Ephraim. Let's unmute Ephraim and Gilbert. Stand by. Ashanti, stand by. All right. Ephraim.
Hello.
May we know where you are speaking from?
I'm speaking from Tishinwa.
Great. Your question, please. Just one question.
Yes, please. Okay. So knowing your vocal type,
tessitura, in a choir, for example, you are given a song that doesn't match your vocal type. How do you cope with that? Will it be that you are kind of arrogant because
can you speak up, please?
Voice type doesn't fit this? I am saying that knowing the vocal type and your tessitura, and you're in a choir, and you are given a kind of song that doesn't match your vocal type. How do you manage that? Sometimes you might be saying that you are being arrogant because you don't want to actually do the song.
Okay. Very, very good question. Let's go to Gilbert.
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah, Gilbert.
Yeah. Regarding the time for rehearsals, I want us to be quite like realistic in Ghana, for instance, because I normally find that most choristers, quite 90% or more work. So the time for rehearsal sometimes twice a week, once a week. So I want to find out how we can use the little time available and then have, a better ministration.
Okay.
More enhanced administration than we have, looking at the little time available, because I bet you, I don't know how, like a normal church, which has most of the choristers working, can meet, say,
as frequent
like a whole day.
Yeah. Thank you, Gilbert. Gilbert, thank you so much for asking. Let's go to Ashanti. Philip is still on the line. We'll try for the last time if the ghost doesn't catch up. But let's go to Ashanti. Hi. Can you speak up, please?
Gloria from Takrady.
Oh, great. Takrady. Na Takrady Tundane. Great. All right. Let's hear from you, Gloria.
Okay. I have two questions. And the first one is, if we are in a choir, I'll make it brief. If you are in a choir and then one person becomes like the main thing in Ghana here, a minister, as the person goes for shows and all that, does that mean that the person can't come or shouldn't come for rehearsals again, or has that person passed coming for rehearsals?
That person beyond rehearsal now. Okay. The next question.
Is probably have a scripture that you want the congregation to, get before you sing the song. Can you get that scripture to the congregation, or you just go straight to the song and you sing, then you finish, and you get off the stage?
Okay. Thank you very much. Let's go to Philip has come. Philip, I hope your phone will not go to Z flat again. This is your last chance. Redeem your image, because we are worried about the phone you are using now. You're a big star here. Yes, Philip. Hello, Philip.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now talk fast before he comes.
Okay, I wanted to ask, some of us sing at church, and we are also prayer leaders. And normally, because of the church I am in, I'm expected to pray in a certain way, because it's like a local church. How am I supposed to control that? Am I supposed to pray very loud, like the normal ones we hear, or we are supposed to pray in a particular way as singers?
I'll tell you what I'll do later. Okay. Let me take the last one from 308402. Hey, this number. Okay, let me see the person. Okay, I don't see what I want. Kwabena Jumo Boatin. I think I've seen you on Facebook. Okay. What's your name?
Good evening. Emmanuel.
Emmanuel, sorry. Okay, Emmanuel. Your question, please.
Yes.
Emmanuel,
Yes, my question is, okay, I'm calling from Adenta.
Adenta, okay, let's go ahead. Quickly.
Speaking from Adenta. Yes, my question is, you are in a choir and then you see we are holding grudges against one another. You see, this choir member has a grudge against this one. This also has a good go about that as a choir leader. Because you seeing that it's bringing the whole group down, it's bringing the progress of the group down. How do you go about these small grudges in the choir? Yeah, that's my question.
Oh, thank you so much. This is very relevant. Let's go to Gerhard Akko-Mensah. Gerhard Akko-Mensah.
Yeah. Hello, good evening.
How are you doing? Just one question, Gerhard.
I'm good by God's grace. Please, my question is, as a singer, like, how do you stay, as in when you are singing, how do you stay in key?
Thank you.
Get it? Because you are not an instrumentalist to be knowing the notes off head. Get it? So how do you deal with that one too? Thank you.
That pre-assumption must go in the first place. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's go to Andrew Oredu Amani. I'm trying to take 10 questions. Hi, Andrew. You're welcome.
Thank you so much, sir.
Your question, please.
All right. First of all, I want to pay regards to the guests that you brought here today. I'm really enlightened by the things that they've taught us today. The question here is that, sir, how do we achieve blend in a choir? You know, when we're trying to sing in harmony, how do we achieve a blend?
Okay, how do we achieve blend? Great question. Thank you so much for asking. Let's go to Awesome. The names are powerful.
Yeah, good evening to you.
Good evening, sir. You are awesome, Papa.
Yeah. I'm joining in from Kumasi. And I'll try and put my question together into one. I remember when Niiella was presenting, she made mention that as musicians, as singers, we should listen to a wide range of musicians. For Ghana, as we know it, I want us to clarify who a musician is and who a singer is in the scope of our Christian music that we do. And also, secondly, how do you manage a musician who feels that, okay, I know everything in the music world, but in the scope of church music, it becomes challenging. That is, they want to introduce those things into the church setting or the Christian music setting. How do we manage that? Thank you.
No, please explain that side again. How do you manage what exactly? Bringing a worldly setting into a Christian setting in music.
Yes, and it's in the scope of the musician, because when you talk about the musician, I think
no, just give me 2 examples of what you have.
It's quite broader than what we.
What do you mean by something from the secular or the world into the Christian? Just 2 examples of that.
Come again.
Your second question is what I want to be very clear about. You are saying that you are lifting something from, if I got it right, something from the worldly scope or secular world and bringing it into the Christian setting. Did you say that, please? What's your
okay? I was looking at it from the musician. So the first question, the answer to the first question will actually help with the second.
What's the second question, please?
The second question is that as a musician, if you are listening to a wide range of songs, when it comes to our Christian setting, we actually have some kind of genres that we use. So it's not widely spread. More especially in Ghana, we have some particular ones that we do. So for somebody growing up, trying to learn all the stuff, wants to introduce all those things as far as a musician is concerned, quote and unquote. So it means that he's not just looking at the Christian setting, but then looking at everything as far as a musician is concerned. How do you deal with that?
I think I get the question. How many questions, Kelvin, do we have? That's the last one. Do we have 10 questions now? 10 questions now. Okay. All right. Okay. Let me take a call and then we go. Hi, Echo.
Hello, sir. Thank you very much.
Welcome, Echo.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you, Rev. Thank you for the guests you brought today. We're learning a lot. My question is very simple, and after hearing everything, I want to know what is the act of writing a song. I mean, if you are inspired to write a song, what are the necessary basic steps you need to consider to write a song? Thank you very much.
Okay. Part of the answer to that is that I think it might be in June. We have a couple of great ministers across the globe who would speak to songwriting. So please stay in touch. When it gets to songwriting, we'll be delving into that. Okay, so what I'll do is that I'll let my guests take the questions. You know, let's say, Mabongi, you answer question 1. Niiella, you go to question 2. Mabongi, you go to 3. Every other question, and then we get to 11. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. I hope we'll be able to cover all the questions. I hope I wrote everything. I hope we wrote everything down. Echo's question, Pastor Edwin, with your permission, I actually have my husband in the room. He's a brilliant songwriter. Can I give him like a minute to just quickly speak about that? He's written, I don't know, countless songs. My next album has many songs that he wrote. Can I give him a minute to just quickly speak to that? 1 minute, hon. All right. Okay, guys, this is Gerard.
Gerard.
How are you doing? Okay, so it's great to be in the room. I've just been listening from the back and just trying to keep B silent in the chat. But in a minute, I would say that whenever you are inspired, whether inspired from an idea, you heard another song, or you're inspired by God, God whispered something through the Holy Spirit, Bongi will tell you that I immediately shut everything down personally. When I get that moment of inspiration, I believe that God is trying to tell me something. God is trying to drop something in my space. So what I do is I shut everything. I shut everything down. I don't want to hear any sound. And I'm just going to go into a place where I focus on what I am hearing, pen it down the way I'm hearing it, voice note it, and meditate on that. And often God will give you a line that relates to his word. He will never speak anything that doesn't relate to his word anyway. He'll drop a line that relates to his word. Check the scriptures. To be a great songwriter, you need to be well-versed in the scriptures. Check the scriptures as it relates to the line that you got. And from there, maybe in another session or another time, we can talk about the mechanics of things like prosody and line upon line and stuff like that. Thank you so much.
Gerald, thank you so much. We'll bring you when we're talking on the songs. Wow, that's so kind of you, my sister. Thanks for allowing him to speak to us.
Thank you, sir, for that 1 minute.
Great. So maybe let me go. Should I go to Niiella for the next question? Let's start from question 1. Niiella, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, so let's do it brief so we can end the session. first question, if you could just speak to
So
that.
the first question was from Ephraim, and it was about the vocal type, tessitura, so the range of the voice, and if the song doesn't match, the song that you've been given doesn't match your voice texture. This one, I guess it's a little bit tricky, because if that happened to me, I would either ask for the key to be lowered. Maybe I'd ask for somebody else who has that texture and tone to sing it, because even if it seems like I'm being a bit some kind of way, but the truth of the matter is, if it doesn't match my voice, then I will either strain to sing it, which is bad. That's detrimental for the voice. You don't want to strain. Or I won't do the best that I can possibly do on the song. So it's better for me to hand it over to somebody else. So I personally would say, in such a case, maybe try as much as you possibly can to try and, you know, nicely put your foot down that you can't sing the song. How
do you nicely put your foot down?
Don't be angry. Just tell them. Because even as your music director, and I know sometimes this happens to a lot of singers, because a lot of singers have even said to me that at church I have to sing, even when I don't have voice. When my voice is strained, I still have to sing, and I think that's very wrong on the part of like the MDs or the church. You know, those who are basically, there should be somebody else to, at least, even if they can't sing to the ability of maybe the main worship leader. If one is tired, the other one should tag team. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what your voice is. God still accepts our worship. So I would say, kindly put your foot down. Hallelujah.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to take Gilbert's question. He asked about rehearsal time. How do we manage? We've got little rehearsal time and we've got more to work with. I would say encourage everybody to work at home. Like if we have new songs, for example, we don't have the time for everyone to hear a new song now and learn it now and perfect it for Sunday service, for example. That is impossible, especially with the limited, because now we have to rehearse. Everyone is back from work, you know, stuff like that. So there's so many things that are happening, but encourage everybody to work at home, to learn the songs at home. When we gather together, everybody must know their parts. Everybody must know the structure. From here, this is where we're going and stuff like that. So encourage that culture of people listening to the songs when they're at home and working more when they're at home. When we get together, we're just tightening everything up, and I think that will help.
Fantastic. Niiella, the next question.
The next question was about if you are a minister, or if you were part of the choir and you've now become a minister and you are ministering in other locations, does that mean that you shouldn't come for rehearsals anymore? I think that there needs to be a balance with this. There should be a conversation had with the MD or whoever your pastor is, your leader is, that perhaps maybe if you have programs on this day or that day, there has to be some kind of conversation had, to be honest. Some pastors will be okay for you to go to administration, even if it's within church time. And some would have a problem with that. And it also depends on yourself as well. I think even no matter how much you're elevated, you should also remember your home. You should remember where you come from. You should remember where you serve. You will always be a servant. You know, that's who we are as Christians. We're servants. Jesus washed feet. So we can never be elevated to the point that we are so special that we can't remember our home, our church. So there really does need to be a conversation had. You shouldn't be upset because somebody is also elevated and is now, you know, singing in different places. If they can't make it to rehearsal, once again, this is the tag team. We should have more than one worship leader so that somebody else can cover for someone else. It got to a point in my church when I realized that if I wasn't around, worship, it just basically, you know, it was like, let's just say out of 10, it was 2. If I was there, it was, let's say 7, 8. If I wasn't there, it was a 2. So what I did was I intentionally decided to be absent a lot. And if I came, I wouldn't sing so that other people had to sing. And I know that some of you are going to be like, hey, but it's the truth, because I realized that it became a bit of a struggle. Like people were like, oh, you were around today, you didn't sing. Like it was, it started to get very awkward. But then what happened was when I stopped singing, alas, so many people could sing that we didn't even know that. So all of a sudden other people also had the opportunity to sing. And I was even happy to see other people pursuing their ability to sing, because some of the younger boys in the church, when they would sing, their friends would respond. They may not even respond to me, but then they would respond because like they know each other, they know their stories. So when they see their friend worshiping for real, it affects them, like it hits them. So I know that the church, you know, there's a lot of diplomatic, you know, things that happen, but I feel like there's also room for the church to grow. So, you know, sometimes as a leader, when you want to do something differently, you'll be the one that people, they will attack you a little bit. But, you know, all the best.
Okay, next question.
Oh, that was a great one. I'm gonna talk to Andrew's question. He says, "How do you achieve blend?" Okay. So let me give you a little story. When I joined my church, the church was 1 year old, so there was literally no worship team. Really, it was just two people volunteering to just sing in front. But from there, and then we got more and more people, not great singers, by the way, just people who wanted to serve, who was just seeing a gap and they wanted to fill it. It took us a very long time for us to be able to just have a 3-part harmony. So how I managed to get everyone to blend was that I would spend time with the singers. I know we don't have much time, but then I would ask for some time with just the singers alone, and we would sing together. We'd ask our pianist to be there as well, so he can help us, so he can accompany us. So if we spend more time together and we can hear ourselves, no microphones, he would try and play as soft as he can, so we can hear exactly who is singing what. And another thing is I would separate the part, like I would separate altos, sopranos, and tenors. Everybody, we're all still in the same room, but just put you a bit, you know, far from each other. You try to, and then I'd pick my, like someone who I think, my strongest tenor, not in terms of volume but someone who's like the strongest tenor. I would try to get everybody to imitate that person. My strongest alto, get everybody to imitate that person. My strongest soprano, try everybody to imitate that person. If I don't have like those strong people, like people that I want the whole alto to sound like, then I would give them like what to sing, how I would want them to sound, and they must start practicing that, and everybody must try and grab the loins of their vocal cords, you know, for them to be able to sound exactly like that. So it might take a bit of time, but it will get there eventually. It will get there eventually. So if you can spend time with your singers on your own and be able to just work on that, you will definitely get there. I hope that was helpful.
Yeah, thank you. Next question, Niiella.
I feel like I'm getting all the powerful questions, but
you're powerful, girl.
The next one is about if you sing at church and you also lead prayers, and I guess there's a particular way that you have to pray, which I'm guessing is rough on the voice. Yeah. For that one, I would say, like, as a singer, you're really encouraged to look after your voice. And I do know that, you know, we do pray quite violently. But I would say maybe one day, try not praying so violently and see if people don't pray. Because we should be praying regardless of what's happening. I guess it's going to have to be a bit of a trial and error. But I would encourage you to look after your voice, because what happens after a long time is you start to develop a bit of a husk, you know, and it destroys your voice after a long time. God can hear, you know.
Don't go there. I think I'm a victim of what you're talking about. I mean, I've just served as prayer warrior from campus, from one group to the other. Even when I came into it, I was brought in by Ezekiel to be a prayer leader. I mean, that's it. But the other side of me was to be a singer, and I sing. I thought I was singing very well, but you know, when you're leading prayer, it has to be Shabbat Kadesh.
Yeah.
I mean, it will not go well if you don't do that. That's what I thought. I've learned a lot in ICGC, I can tell you. I mean, one, we are taught that when you are leading prayer, first of all, don't, when you pick up a prayer topic, don't switch to tongues, because when you switch to tongues, sometimes then you know that anything that is coming out of your mouth is that, so you're just firing. But when you have to raise the prayer topic and first speak in plain language, then you are going to think about what you are saying. You see, for the first, let's say the prayer topic will last for 10 minutes. First 5 minutes, you are encouraged to learn to pray plainly so that people can hear more of what they should pray about.
Yes.
You get it? And then they follow you and follow you and follow you. And then 2, you are encouraged, as much as you want to raise your voice, you have to do it in a way that you are mindful that you are praying with the people. So what you do is that if you cover the room with your voice, very soon, when you just want to cough, you see that people have stopped praying because your sound is covering all of us, and we are not really being heard, and we are not praying. So the best is you go at a certain, you get the level they are praying, and you start praying at the same level so that when you drop off, you can hear them. Or you raise a topic and at the beginning, you drop your mic so that they pick up and you join them. You join them. In that way, when you drop out, it doesn't feel like it's awkward. But when you want to be very sonorous and all that, you damage your vocal cord. So these days, if I'm asked to lead prayer anywhere, or we are in a very take it by force prayer meeting or something, I go very airy. Father, thank you for all that you are going to do. And then whilst others are doing, I don't compete with that. I think it will help all of you. Your voice is your tool. I don't want to take a lot from what they are saying, but I think I'll have a session later with some of these things. Let's go to the next question.
All right. I think the next question was from, I don't remember his name, but Mr. 308402. He spoke about grudges in choirs. Oh my word, like how can 2 work together lest they agree? Let's not fool ourselves. What are we doing if we can't even see eye to eye, but we want to stand before God and raise our hands and worship Him? We need to sort out our issues first. That's why I said earlier that even with me, like personally with my ministry outside the worship ministry in our church, it's the culture that we promote, even in our church actually, it's a culture that we promote that we must be family as a team. We must know each other beyond just we're just here to sing and that's it. We must be concerned about each other beyond just, okay, we're just here to sing and that's it. So that is a very key thing. If we don't really care about what happens to you outside the choir, and then it's easy for me to, I don't really care, So get your issues right first. Iron out everything that is not right between choir members, and then we can go before God to worship. So if people stand a certain way, or I think something else that helps is take time as a choir and say, okay, we're gonna meet at a certain time, but we're not meeting to sing. We're just meeting to fellowship. That is really important. That relationship is so important for every choir or for every group. Take time to bond outside the music, and you'll see those little things will start falling off, because now people will say, oh, okay, I think I misread the kind of person Mabongi is. It's not just it's not that she's prideful, she's just a quiet person naturally. You start to understand each other beyond just we're just here to sing and that's it. So that's what I would suggest that you can do.
Go beyond the rehearsal and create a bond. Let's go to the next question.
The next question was from Gayheart. It said, as a singer, how do you stay on key? I think this goes back to training your ears. An amazing exercise is, if you can either work with a keyboardist, when they press one key, if it's a you imitate if they press you sing and then if you're not hitting the note, they can tell you you're not hitting it. So that's one way to basically train your ear, so that you start to hear that if the key, is you're singing on, let's say C, and you start to now sing between C.5, which is between C and C sharp, then your ears will start to pick that up. And
0.5.
Your ears will start picking that up, and you'll be able to but it takes time. You have to work on it. It all takes time. You can't expect to just work on it immediately. There was a particular guy in my church choir in Ghana, and he was completely tone deaf. If we're singing somewhere, he will be a complete different place. But then after singing with unfortunately his mic was always muted, but he's so passionate. After a while, what happened was he started to hear, because he did it so much that he started to hear. And I was shocked, because I genuinely didn't know that he would ever be able to sing on key, because he was so far away. But after a few exercises that we did, where like he was singing and I'm like, no, come down to meet the note, come down, you're too high, come down. And after a while he started to hear. So it takes time, but it's very possible to tune your ears. Yeah.
All right, I think the next question was from Awesome. I hope I got him right when he said, did he say, is there a difference between a musician and a singer? Is that where he started? Yes. Or I was hearing my own thing. Okay, so from you, Pastor Edwin and Niiella, please do help me out on this one. I felt it's a bit of a difficult one, but I wanted to talk about the second part of his question. Was talking about managing a musician, I think I kind of understood that part. Maybe if I can start there. As a musician, I believe one must be versatile, or one must be pliable. You must be able to, especially as an instrumentalist, I believe that's what he was talking about. There's a friend of mine whom I went to school with, right? So we both studied jazz, and after that, he got to work with a very big South African group, but they were doing more like African sounding kind of music. And he was so excited, his first day there, he has checked the music, but because he studied jazz and he's like, look, I'll show them that, I'm great at this thing, I'm a great pianist and whatnot. When he got there, he was playing the right things, but he just brought that whole jazzy flavor there. And those guys were like, whoa, don't come and play school here. That's not what we need. That's not what we want right now. We just need you to play a simple progression, 1-4-5, nothing crazy, nothing, out of the world, just a simple thing. So I believe it also depends on your environment. Like when I go back home, for example, it's different from when I'm here in Joburg. Things are way different there. I must be able to adapt and be able to reach the people there. If I can just get there and they'll be like, oh, what's going on? They won't understand me. They won't get me at all. So I must be able to adapt and be able to play or sing within the style that is required. So, okay, guys, please do help me out on this first one. The difference between a musician and a singer. Allow me to throw it back to you guys again.
Okay. Yeah, that was simple.
I wasn't too sure what he meant.
Yeah.
Who is a singer and who is a musician. I wasn't sure if it was in the sense of some people sing but they don't play, some people sing and play, or I wasn't sure. So maybe if you can clarify that for next time, or
okay, so I think that he's just trying to find out if there's a difference between a singer and a musician, or let's do justice to it. Is there a difference between a singer and a musician? Who is a singer, who is a musician? Does it change when it comes to the church? Can we speak to that one? Is there a difference between a singer and a musician technically? A singer is the one who uses vocals, and a musician is the one who uses an instrument. Or what is that? Let's just define that for us. And then maybe, does it change when it comes to the church? Because maybe one will be professional. I don't know, but can we just speak to that? Just clarify that and go. Niiella, did you hear my?
Yes. I thought Mabongi was going to speak. I guess, yes, obviously there's a difference between some, there's a person who sings, so they use their voice, and then there's also a musician, so they play the instrument. We also have people who cross over between the two. So they sing and they also play. But like I said, I think every singer should at least know some kind of basic of an instrument or like sofas, you know, that kind of thing. And when it comes to, if you are a professional, when you come into church, I think you really need to know what church you're in, the music that the people respond to, how they respond. Because maybe every church has a different way of maybe doing worship. You could go to a local church where they do more indigenous music. You could go to maybe an international church where they do more, you know. So let's say you're used to playing contemporary music, but then you go to a local church, then obviously you would need to adapt with your chords, that kind of thing, to just kind of fit. Maybe you can bring some flavoring from the contemporary side, but then it doesn't mean that when you get there, you have to discard everything that they've been doing and basically be like, I'm a contemporary player, so basically everyone follow me.
Exactly.
Because yes, you also need to follow, you know, every church has what it caters to. You know, the church caters to a specific people depending on the pastor or the head's assignment. So you also, music in the church also needs to fall in line with the head, you know, the assignment of what the church is supposed to do. That would also bring it to the next question. When I was talking about listening to different genres of music, you don't have to go and listen to, you know, music that's inappropriate. There's literally Christian jazz, there's Christian rock, Christian country, Christian folk, any kind of music you can. It doesn't have to be lyrically. I personally like to listen to something that's encouraging for the spirit and not necessarily derogatory, vulgar, you know, that kind of stuff. I just steer clear away from all that kind of stuff. But when it comes to different genres, you can find all kinds of music out there, still Christian. You can find Christian hip-hop, Christian, you know, all that kind of stuff. But then once again, know your church and the sound. You can't just be, I'm a hip-hop artist, so because of that, from now on, in my local church, we're going to be rapping every Sunday. Like, you have to understand where you are. And then you can bring flavor in. You can incorporate. If your church has youth days, you can do some fun stuff here and there, you know, but, you know, just relative, you know, yeah.
Mabongi's view on this one.
All right, so I think the word singer already just says, okay, I'm a singer, like, period. And for me, the word musician talks to someone who's a little more well-rounded. Okay, maybe let me talk about me. I don't know, maybe it's because of school and all that stuff, but I think of myself as a musician. Although my piano skills are not great that I'll perform in public, because I did vocals mainly, but I've got a clue on what's happening around the black and white keys. So yeah, I guess, you know, a musician talks about someone who's a little more well-rounded, although a singer to me is still a musician, because when you sing, you're still in music and all that stuff. Well, that's what I think. That's what I think.
We're ready to wrap up. It's been a long one. I will just take the last 3 questions. I will select the last 3 questions so that we can just wrap up. Please bear me up with this. I will take a question from Lebogang, I can't pronounce the name well, but
Lebogang.
I'm sure you can, Lebogang. And then I'll go to Degajo, and then I'll come to is it Hugh Guet or Hugh Jewett? I can't pronounce it properly. Forgive me if I did not. Okay, you're smiling, I can see. So let's take it. Let's take it from the first person. Lebogang, right?
Yes, Lebogang. Yeah, actually my question was answered by Niiella, but there was a second part to the question. Oh, when she spoke about the importance of understanding the sound in the house as it impacts on your delivery of ministry or singing or music, as it were. So I think the next thing I was going to ask is, so what are the pointers that you guys can give us as singers or even musicians to try and bring an understanding then of the house, of the sound of the house, including the vision, for example, from the set man, from the pastor or whatnot. What is it that we can do on our side as worshipers, worship teams, worship team leaders to to close that gap of not understanding the kind of house that we're in and what the vision is, because I believe it has a huge impact on how we minister to those specific houses.
Lebohan, where are you speaking from?
Oh, I'm from South Africa. I'm in Pretoria.
Okay, great. Thanks for joining us. Let's go to what was the name? Joel Degajo. Joel Degajo.
Yeah, Joel Degajo. Thank you. Thank you also for Edwin Dadson. Thank you so much, Niiella, and then forgetting the other lady's name. I can't pronounce it, and I want to try it. Anyways, my question is, my question is, how does a worshiper or a singer or a creative break away from traditions that can impair or impede their productivity or their growth? So you might have maybe someone coming from an SDA background that has an amazing vocal, but they tell you that, oh, they don't do this kind of songs. You have someone who is coming from a Catholic background, great voice, but doesn't seem contemporary, is always singing hymns and stuff like that. How does someone break from denomination and do God's will and not allow denomination to keep them bound instead of doing what God has asked them to?
I hear a lot.
Oh, and I'm speaking from Ghana, Abeka Free Pipe.
Okay, Free Pipe. Wonderful. Okay, thank you. Let's go to, what's your name, my sister? Huge.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello.
Hi, your name?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I have a French name, but for English speaker, you can call me Yuget.
Yuget. Okay, great.
Yeah. So, thank you, Sister Nina and Mabongi, for the lesson. Today I've learned a lot, a lot and a lot. So my question is, as a leader, what do you do with singer, those who are not showing up? Even when you need them, they are not there. It's like, let's just say in the group, you send a message about we have a program or we have some songs we have to practice, all those stuff. But it's like they're ignoring the messages. You are pretty sure that they read the message, but they're not reacting. So how do you make people pay attention and be more involved with? Thank you.
Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from China, Nanjing.
How is Corona doing over there?
Wow.
Oh.
I'll take my last question. My last question from Kwabna Jumo Boati. All right, that will be the last question, and then we wrap up. Hi, Kwabna.
Hello, Pastor. Good evening, and greetings to everybody here. I'm in my village in Ofada in the central region, one of my farming communities over here.
Okay.
Okay, my question is, if there is an interference from your pastor in the choir, as you work as an MD, how do you handle it? Here is the case, perhaps your pastor would want a particular person to be singing, would want some people perhaps to sit back, and it's like every now and then pastor is here or Sopmani is here, and it's like you are trying to take over, but pastor is always on your neck, Sopmani is always on your neck.
Your question is real. I've been to some place where I've seen that there's a leader holding the mic and there's another person in the corner holding the mic, praising the song for the other person. Well, I don't know. I mean, sometimes people and how they organize their church is different. So Mabongi, you will speak to this last question. Is Pastor Zaya? Pastor Zaya, are you back? Hello, Pastor Zaya. Is Pastor Zaya back? Let me just be sure.
Yes, I'm back. I'm back.
Oh, great, great, great. How was the lecture? Good, good, good.
Confusing.
I'm sorry for that. Okay, okay. Let me first defer to you. Are a pastor. I mean, pastoral intervention from your angle as a pastor. Mabongi as from your angle as a music director. Let's see how we
go. I think as a pastor, one of the very key things that should be looked at is administration. And that when you delegate a work, you should trust the person to do the work. And if you have any challenge with how the person is doing it, it should be something that should be addressed from a leadership point of view, not in public and creating confusion. There might be other if such a thing is happening, there might be some factors. It might be that there's no clarity of assignment. It could also be that it depends on the leader's also exposure to leadership. I think not. Let me just be very careful to say that not a lot of pastors are leaders.
Yeah, I agree.
Right. A lot of pastors need to work on that aspect of leadership. A lot of them are bosses, but pastors. Because if the leadership bit is well worked on, then you'll be able to explain what you want the person to do, how you want to go about, how to report to you, and other few things. So I think there's a challenge with leadership in such a situation. And so it is not good for you to also be in a place where there seems to be like a strife, and able to work, you have to work. I will advise that person to perhaps, first of all, have a discussion with the pastor. If it doesn't seem to work out, I think I'll request that the person should step down from that work so that you avoid that strife. Yeah. It doesn't communicate well, doesn't communicate good leadership to the people there. So I think the person should do these two things. Number one, have a chat with your pastor, let him understand what is happening and the effect of it on what you're doing. Now, if that doesn't work out, it would be good for you to just withdraw from there and let's see what's going to do after that.
I'll take the other side before Mabongi. I'll say that I teach some pastors like the Bible school, and I encourage them to be part of their rehearsal, often, just to see what is happening. So maybe it could be one of these ones where the pastor likes to, just to come to rehearsal and see what is happening. Sometimes he's hearing stuff, or maybe he's seen the output on stage is not the best, and then he comes to see, okay, what are you guys doing here? You are using all the 2 hours for rehearsal to be lying on the floor, praying. No, you don't hear all the come and see, that kind of thing. Or maybe it's the church.
Pastor Dadson.
Pastor comes every Saturday to come and make sure everything is well. And part of it is to just go through everywhere and see that, okay, you are rehearsing, okay, it's going on and all that. So sometimes those ones.
Yeah, Pastor Dadson, I do that to my choir in church. All right. Maybe because they also know that I'm into music. So sometimes I can step into the rehearsal. Sometimes I'll be in the office and I'll hear some harmony that I know very well that if this harmony comes to church on Sunday, the Holy Ghost will not like the service. So I really step in and then try to tell them, no, I'm hearing something I want to hear, But I think how I go about it is also different. I go about in a certain way. So it doesn't look like as if I am discrediting the person I put there, because if that happens, it shows I'm also not the good leader. I've chosen that person to do that.
I think relationship with your pastor matters.
It's very important.
Very nice relationship with him. You want him to come and see. Other times when other pastors to come, you are not happy because you are saying you don't have a good relationship. They might, have some time embarrass you and all that. That's cool. Mabongi, from the music director's side.
Okay, so from a music director's side, I would say spend time with your pastor. Well, take time to go and sit down with him. Hear from him what God is saying to him, because sometimes as worship leaders we think we have got the heart of the heart of the house or or what we think God is doing in the house currently, it's possible to miss it. But if you go to the man of God and sit down with him, talk to him, and hear, man of God, what are you hearing God say? What do you think we can change? How are we doing? I love what Pastor Edwin said when he said, develop a relationship with your pastor. That is really, really important, because now it's like the worship leader will want to do his thing and the pastor wants something else. But it's important. So develop that relationship with your pastor. And there's no way that the pastor would want to do anything to harm the church, or whatever that he suggests or whatever that he comes up with will harm the church or will harm the choir or anything else. He wants what's best for everybody else. So sometimes as worship leaders, maybe we're not hearing it well from God, but if I go and sit with my pastor, I did this as well a lot. Let me tell you a short story. It's late last year, well, it didn't start late last year, but I think it started around 2018. Where our pastor used to come to our rehearsals, and it was not his first time, by the way. When I joined my church 13 years ago, he used to come to rehearsals literally every week. Some of us were just kids. He'd call, do you need transport? Well, things were at the early stages then. The church was only a year old, but then he would fetch us because, well, he's one of the people who's got cars and all that. He'll fetch it, go to her rehearsals. He will sit down with us. He'll teach us about what he will just download a whole lot into us. I think he did that for about 6 months to a year, and then he just let us be, and we just ran with it. Whatever that he was teaching us, we would have seminars from time to time, and we're not having an outside speaker. We are having our own pastor to come and talk about us. What is God saying? What his vision is. He just kept on downloading what he has got, or what the vision of the house is to us. So sometime last year, as I said, it started a bit earlier, where it was like, there is some place that I feel like you guys are not tapping into. And at that time, we feel like, yeah, man, we're doing the right things. But then he'd say, there's a place that I feel you guys are just not tapping into. And he would say this for months. And obviously, when we do great, it's like, yes, he'd come in, he would encourage us and all that stuff. Towards the end of last year, he decides, okay, I think you guys are all burnt out. So our team is not as big. We're not a big choir. I think we've got about 12 singers and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a 6-piece band, right? So he says to us, he comes to one of our rehearsals and he says, this Sunday, it's going to be your last Sunday for a while. All of you guys, I want you to sit down and take a break. We're like, and when he said, I want you to sit down and take a break, he was not talking about just, okay, a Sunday or two. They would play, they'd still project lyrics, but then worship will come from from the desk at the back. They would select worship songs, and the church, it was weird for the whole church as well. So the whole worship team, we're still sitting at our place, we still come to church, we still come to prayer, we're still doing all that. I'm talking about 3 months or something like that, until everybody got used to the fact that when we go to church, the team is not there, everybody is sitting down. And when we were not up there singing, we were still meeting for prayer, we were still fasting, we were still doing all that. We're not rehearsing as much as we used to, but we're still doing everything that we really needed to do. When we went back up on stage, we were a completely different team altogether. It didn't make sense for us. Like, some of us were calling each other like, guys, this has never ever happened anyway. But we trusted the man of God. We trusted the God in him. There's no way this guy will mislead us. We definitely trust him. So him sitting us down, the whole team, I'm not talking about one person or the whole team. Imagine somebody like me. For me, it was like, oh my gosh, this has never happened before. When you're a worship leader for such a long time, you're running the team like a well-oiled machine. And if the man of God comes and says, I feel like there's a place you're not really tapping into, it's a serious ouch. I promise you. It's like, okay, after all this work that we do, we still pray. Whenever they call for prayer at church, we're the first to arrive. We're there. You're doing everything right. But he still felt like something is wrong. But after we had sat down for like over 3 months, and when we went back up, we totally understood why. It's something that he could not explain in words, but him sitting us down for a while, okay, just take a break, continue to pray and seek God. When we went back up on stage, everything just made sense. So trust the man of God, learn to work with him, and that relationship between you as the MD and the man of God is really, really key. I think I've said a lot.
Hello, Pastor Dadson.
Yes.
Yeah, just something little to add to what Mabongi said. If the man of God had not had a vision to start a work, the music director would not be there to direct. And the oil must come from the head, down the beards, and down the skirts. There is no how that God will bypass the head of the ministry and speak to you, the music director, as to how things should go. So at all times, it should be the music director that should align to the head, no matter what he thinks he knows.
Thank you. Niiella, can we wrap it up? Let's just try and speak to Lebohan and my friend from China's question, so we can end this session quickly. And I'll take a last words from all my panelists.
I guess Lebohan's question, it kind of piggybacks off what Mabongi and Pastor Isaiah said about, because her question was, what can be done to bridge the gap of the sound of the house and the worship team? So understanding, you know, what the sound of the house is, what the pastor's vision is, what your leader's vision is, and then kind of like bridging it together. And I think it's very, very important for the MD or whoever is in charge of the choir or worship to get to know the pastor. Like, it's not possible to be an MD and not know your pastor. Like, there's no communication. That would be very odd, because then you would be bringing things that you personally feel is right, but then may not tally with the man of God or woman of God's idea or their vision is the right word. So there really has to be communication. There should really be a relationship so that you can know what to do. And sometimes, regardless of, you know, the leader's vision, and they might not be musically inclined, they might not be technical, so they might just want to hear something or the other. So it's very important for you to work with them so that you can get quality, and also they can also understand what it is that you may be trying to do. Perfect example, my mom is a pastor. She's not like technical when it comes to music, but me and my brothers are. And my mom will just be like, you know, regardless, she's not technical at all. So she'll be like, just sing, you know, the Holy Spirit will turn up. And she'll say that because that's what happens when she sings, you know, she will sing and obviously we'll worship, you know. But then it got to a point where like the whole church can't just sing and the Holy Spirit, like, he would turn up, but then we also have to work at excellence. So in the beginning, she didn't really get it, you know, like, what's the big deal? We'll sing, Jesus will come. You know, he listens to us when we worship. But then when we started to kind of build and my brothers started to get better at playing, I started getting better at singing. And then we would kind of bring it all together. It would even get to a point where she will start the song however she sings it. Like, my mom sings wherever, however she feels. And then she'll be like, Niiella, go. And then I will take the mic. And then, you know, and then it's like electric in the moment kind of thing. So she really started to understand why excellence was important. That even though, yes, the Holy Spirit does turn up regardless, you know, because of worship, the excellence also kind of like, it kind of made the moment, like the impact and everything, even better. So you have to develop that relationship, you know, with the pastor so that it can work together, because music is also one of the propellers, you know, that really also, you know, hand in hand with like the prophetic and all that stuff. So music is extremely important, but you also have to know what the vision is and work together. So communication is extremely important. And you said I should address the next question by Uget is the name. What do you do with the... Okay, so when members of the choir are ignoring messages, I would first ask, has there been a conversation with them? Like, oh guys, are you actually seeing the messages? Because I've been putting messages, but I'm not getting responses. So, you know, are you seeing it? Maybe you're missing, you know, the questions that I've been putting in the group. Are they enthusiastic about being in the choir? Because that, if you're ignoring everything, then I'm like, do you even want to be in the choir?
Blood test swabs aren't telling you so much.
So in the event that maybe they don't want to be in the choir, then maybe they need to rethink which department in the church. Maybe they'll do better in the ushers department, or do children's ministry, something else. Because I don't know why you would be ignoring. I personally, I can't understand why you would be ignoring that. But a conversation definitely has to be had. To find out, what exactly the issue is, so that you can progress from there. I wouldn't know what else to say, but I feel like a conversation should be had.
Before I go to Pastor Zaya, Mabongi, in this scenario, I'm sure you've had this before. What have you done in your case when members are not responding? Your mic is muted. Your mic is muted. If you could, okay, sorry. You can speak up, please, now.
All right, now you can hear me. I totally agree with what Niiella was saying, that talk to people, have conversations. That's really important. I think she said everything that I would really want to say. Speak to individuals, like, hey, what's happening? We've been sending messages and stuff like that, and get the feel of where they are and stuff like that. So I would probably be repeating everything that Niiella said. So I think she really just covered everything.
Pastor Zaya.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. Relationship is everything, and that's what leadership is about. I think I don't know what plans that Pastor Dadson has, but I think there should be another program maybe you would do to help build the aspect of leadership when it comes to the music ministry. I think a lot of us have leadership issues. Okay, so my basic understanding of leadership. A leader must have the quality of being able to influence people, take them from where they are to where they ought to be. The influence aspect is not an issue of force, but relationship. So I'm very sure that if the leader can work on the relationship bit, like Niiella said, I think Niiella has done a great job. Call them individually. Oh, how are you doing? How's everything? What's up? Lately, you're not. That was any issue? It might be that there's something that you are doing as a leader that's putting them off. And I believe one thing that as a leader, you must learn to take responsibility. Don't always be quick to look at the people. Look at yourself as what else am I not doing? What am I contributing to this whole situation? It must be you first, not them first, you first. So I think the person should call them, check on each of them. When you've done all of that, realize that it's just that they don't have interest in it. Then I think the next thing that Niiella talked about will not be a bad idea to go on. I mean, they can move to another department because when it's the church, a joyful noise is okay. But as soon as we've separated ourselves to give God quality, discipline must be involved to get the best out of it. So I think we should look at relationship first before the other steps are taken. Exhaust all the possible contributors from your side first before you look at the people. That's what I was saying.
I think that most of the time when people take up leadership position, especially with music or something, they box themselves with how it is done already, and they try all those options that they know should be done, and they don't go beyond that. And when you find great men as great because they go beyond the status quo and they discover something and you begin to follow. So they become leaders of leaders, so you can remain as a leader of followers, but you want to move from leader of followers to leader of leaders, where you chart the path for others to find a new trend of how to reach out to members, what to do, so you go beyond yourself, try something, combine all the counsel that you have heard. And I think that will really help you. It's just like when you start a church and you say, okay, you started a church, so I need a treasurer, I need a secretary. And these people, you think that they mean well, but the treasurer you are calling for your church, all he knows is a club treasurer, what they do, and he's going to manage you just like that. But a church treasurer is not like that. You have to train the person, else you problems. So go beyond yourself. Don't just stay within the boundaries of what everybody does. We've come a long way today. We've gone way past our time, and I think it's great. We are borrowing vessels from three great minds, and so we will have to go that way. Thank you so much for your time, Mabongi, all the way from South Africa. I know it's 12 something over there. It's late.
Yeah, it's 11 past midnight. But thank you so much, sir. Like, this was so awesome. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you to everybody for tuning in and for staying this long. We really appreciate everybody.
Oh, I just love your humility. You know, I thank you. When I called on you, you just decided to. And your husband, Gerard, tell Gerard we're going. I'll speak to him later. Maybe tomorrow is later, and then we'll talk about writing and what to do. But I love you so much. You know, I admire you. I admire your humility.
Thank you so much, sir.
Something that is far from sight. I came close to you, and I was telling my wife, I'm like, is that how low she is? You know? And I was so surprised. But you're so gifted, so gifted. So
thank you, sir.
Thank you for your humility. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Niiella,
so much.
Thank you for speaking to us all the time. You bring something for us to think about. You stare us. Thank you so much. And my brother, the Archangel, I call him Archangel. We keep ourselves. Please don't go out and Archangel. So it's just the way I teach Pastor. I teach Pastor Isaiah. I tell him that when Jesus is coming, I'm sure he will be shining the shoes before he wears it and he comes out. And God, teacher, he loves prayer. He loves the word. You can taste it from his ministration. Thank you, wonderful people, for joining us. And you who joined us on this session of Zoom, thank you for always coming. We had a nice time with Philip's ghost phone. I think we will contribute and buy Philip a phone because it's not too difficult. But it was just fun. Thanks to our sister from China and sister from South Africa and Ukraine, and then all my Abeka in Central Region and all the guys who called. Thank you for being a blessing to this platform. God willing, tomorrow we are going to have a time with Koda and Dr. Oscar William. We all know Koda. He's a Ghanaian musician, so gifted, tight, somebody who is very apt in what he does. So the Music Bridge, we will be having a conversation with him and Oscar Williams from TD Jakes camp. Oscar Williams is the current music director for TD Jakes, creative and arts director for TD Jakes. He's written a couple of songs. He just loaded with education in music. He's a great guy. And we are talking about coordination with your band, or band coordination. It's a major topic to deal with, how we tone down the keyboards when the drum is rolling, or which instrument is leading the worship at this junction, at this point when we sing, we give you, then the keyboardist will just roll his fingers over the black and the white, and then drummer, all these things. We need to learn band cohesion. We need to think like producers, so tell your music director to tell their band and their instrumentalists to be on. Koda, if you know Koda, Koda will hit it where it's very hard. He's going to speak his heart out. So tomorrow pretty much is for instrumentalists. But if you're a singer, like we have learned today, to be a complete musician, learn about the instrument, learn about what tones to use and all those things. So God willing, tomorrow we'll be there. And next week, like I said, we would have Mabongi. Next week, Wednesday, we'll have a practicum, let me call it practicum with Mabongi. I'm going to ask him and if the husband can help. Keep just a full rehearsal under lockdown. And we are doing breath control, we are doing vibrato, we are doing everything you would want to do warm up properly. And you will have to be there, don't miss it. And then the last, that will be the Thursday next week, I will come up with a review session. We'll see, maybe I'll have it Pastor Isaiah if he has time. We'll just pray, do Bible study. I'll speak to Pastor Adam and see if Pastor Adam will come on board, and that will be it will be It will be
awesome.
It will be
Katubaya.
Thank you and God bless you. We'll see God willing. We have the recording again. I will load it up on YouTube. And so you can have it. We love you all and keep shining. Share the videos and learn.
Amen.
Don't go and stand there. Oh, today I got the opportunity to talk to Niiella. Nice lady. That's not what we want you to learn. Please go and practice this. Thank you, and I love you. Whilst we sign out, we'll have some music from Niiella, music video from Niiella. God bless you, and we'll see you.
God bless you, sir.
God bless you guys. Thank you so much.
God bless you.
Good night.
Good night.
It appears that I've been broken down, but that's only how it appears. It may seem like I can't find my way, but that's only how it seems. For my good. Jesus, yeah.